designated, and I believe it's, I forget who it is.
there.
It's probably you, Ellie, and you, Peter, probably is.
Yeah,
but
the planning board members have been appointed, and the budget committee members will be appointed very quickly, I believe, at the very next meeting.
They have a meeting Wednesday.
Yeah, I knew it was upcoming. So.
do you have that in front of you, Lori?
We don't have anybody specific. Oh, yes, we do. Ellie is the primary and Peter's the alternate
Okay.
for CIP. Yep.
Okay. And I think we had the same designee and alternate as rep to that board. We kept the CIP and the rep to the board the same.
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Right. Okay.
But again, just wanted to give you a heads up on both of them. If you have any questions, always give us a call.
Okay, any questions for Lynn?
So, can you have Glenn, he usually does, but can you have him send out the previous CIP plan?
Oh, yeah, it'll all be coming out.
Okay.
The normal
bet it will.
process will be followed, it's just the date's going to change. Because we really want the budget committee to be able to do their job, and it's really hard for them to do their job if they don't have the information in front of them.
Right, the CIP is an advisory document to the budget committee and the select board, and if it comes out after the budgeting season has started, it's kind of useless, so,
It was very difficult for them this year,
yeah.
and our hands were held because of the difficulty in receiving information back from the different departments.
Right.
So, okay.
Any other questions for Lynn? Okay, well, thank you very much for the update.
Thank you, have a good day.
You as well. All right, we'll go around the horn with the rest of, before I do that, are there any other boards or committees that wish to comment or bring information forward? Okay.
And just so you know, we're recording, but it's not live yet. He's gonna log in remote because
Okay.
I think it's something.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Still using my.
Oh, yes.
Well, yes.
Chief Pellerin,
Oh, yeah.
you're up.
Shouldn't have volunteered.
Since you were talking about that, so you might as well just go.
Thank you. Good morning. Things are pretty quiet. I don't like using that word, but tanker contract has been submitted. I just got an update from the new ambulance. Should be here in July. I know we talked about it last year at some point. So we do have the Polaris Ranger all outfitted now, so it has lights on it. I'm getting some lettering for it. That's responded to 4 calls that we've needed to use it for brush fires along the railroad tracks. We had an ATV accident out in the woods last week, so definitely a handy tool. So I wanted the front stairs to be done so that we could do a presentation and you guys could come out just the front door. But just take some pictures, and you know, it's a kind of a big deal to have a $30,000 plus donation to the town. So things are starting to pick up call-wise. So brush fires, we've responded to 12 brush fires year to date. ATV accidents, we've had 2 of those, and motorcycle accidents, unfortunately, going to start picking up with the warmer weather. That's really all I have.
Did you deliver baby? Did somebody deliver baby?
Oh, we did take place Friday. Friday, we got a call to residents in Kingston that just about 9 months ready, full term, was in labor at their house. So we responded. Kingston PD responded. We also toned for Brentwood ambulance. In case there's difficulties with birth, you usually take care of mom and baby separately. But good to present that mom delivered baby in her house with our assistance. It was a very emotional scene to hear the baby cry for the first time, but as far as I know, mom and baby are doing very well.
Are they naming the baby Kingston?
Well, I thought Graham was a nice name, but. So yes, thank you to Plastow ALS who responded, Kingston PD, Brentwood Fire, and all of my members that were there.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
And since you mentioned the ALS, I know it's early in the regional agreement, the new setup. since the dropping of that by Exeter Hospital, but can you give us a sense of how that's working? Any early issues identified?
Nope, so we met, we're still meeting monthly with the Plastow Fire Chief and, going through any issues, any concerns that we have. So Kingston is actually serviced by the truck out of Plastow primarily, but our backup, so we're kind of double covered. Our backup, if they're busy, our backup comes from Brentwood. So we're kind of in the middle, which is good for Kingston. No issues to date. I just read the statistics last night that he sent out. I think they've been on like 400 calls in this month alone.
Wow.
And I forget how many transports they've done with other towns, but they currently serve 18 communities, which is more than Exeter ALS served. And things are going well.
Okay.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, good. Other questions for Graham? Okay, thank you. Tammy?
Good morning. First, I'd like to say happy birthday to Paula.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Wednesday, dog licenses are due. We have 503 dogs that are not licensed.
Oh, my goodness.
So we're working on it. Deeding is May 28th. So I'm going to give you this list. It's 4 properties that are up for deeding. And if on the 28th they are still not paid, the board will either have to accept that deed or give me a deed waiver. I've sent them certified letters. I'll be reaching out. I'm hoping Joel and his team can help me hand deliver to make sure these people are aware that this is happening. So I'm going to work on that.
And you said there are 4 of them?
4 of them, they're coming. So.
What date was that?
I'm sorry?
May 28th.
May 28th is the deed date. Yeah. And that's it.
That's it? Okay, thank you. Paula?
Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday. We won't ask you which one it is.
Dear Select Board, I am formally resigning from my position as Finance and HR Director for the Town of Kingston, with my last day of employment being May 13th, 2025. This decision comes after 2 years of persistent challenges, including a lack of professional respect, ongoing micromanagement, and inappropriate, unprofessional remarks made by certain board members. My contributions have often been dismissed, my judgment questioned without cause, and my requests for support consistently ignored. Most troubling, comments implying favoritism based on personal relationships, such as being referred to as favored by my drinking buddies, are not only false, but entirely unethical and inappropriate to direct toward any employee. While I have done my best to maintain a high standard of work and professionalism, it has become clear that this is no longer an environment in which I can grow or contribute meaningfully. I have accepted another opportunity that better reflects my values and respects my expertise, and I will do what is necessary to ensure a responsible transition of duties during my remaining time.
Okay. Well, since you've submitted this in writing, I'm assuming that this is a non-negotiable situation, so questions or comments from the board?
You're going to be dearly missed. I don't think people understand. You will be missed. I don't think a lot of people understand all the many functions of your job and how much you interact with committees, board members, community members, and so forth. And I'm sorry we can't convince you to stay, but you will be missed.
Thank you.
And I wish you well in the new endeavor.
I will say I'm sorry to hear this. I was hoping to work with you to address some of the unfortunate incidents you had to deal with for the past year, but I wish you well in your new endeavor.
Thank you.
I'm speechless. It was very unexpected, and I am sorry to hear this, Paula.
Yes, we have had issues that we've been trying to work through, and we have been trying to work through them, and I realize it's been a painful process. I wasn't expecting this to be the outcome. But,
Really, I do nothing but wish you well.
yeah,
I hope that everything works out.
Thank you.
Wherever you're going, I hope it works out well for you. I hope things go great. So again, sorry we didn't have more time, but good luck to you.
everyone deserves to be comfortable and happy in whatever they're doing for work, and I certainly hope that that's the case, whatever it is that you've chosen
I hope so.
to do.
Paul, the limited contact I've had with you, I found you nothing but professional, and your attention to detail I thought was very well. And again, I don't really think this board and the entirety knows exactly what you do on a day-to-day basis. And they got 2 weeks to figure it out. That's all I got to say, because it's going to be very difficult to fill your shoes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
So I would also like to resonate with the board, said thank you. You make our jobs easier from everybody below you in finance. I guess then I would just task the board with taking this seriously and finding a replacement as soon as possible. It's obviously it was sudden. I didn't know about it, but the need for somebody in that position is dire. So just from a department head that's been here for the last 18 years, knowing the value in that position and how important that is to, you know, both up and down the ladder of town government. So, thank you.
Yeah, I will just add that I wish that we had been able to try to have an opportunity to talk you out of it, but I see that you've already accepted an opportunity, so I won't try and put you through that right now, but good luck to you, seriously.
I realize that the 2 weeks is what you're obligated to give us. I certainly wish that it had been a longer time to give us more time to get the replacement. 2 weeks is really short for filling a critical position like this. But you've given us that time, so.
So when Cindy left, and then I stepped in for a short time and said, no way, I'm not doing this. And we got Paula, I sat before this board and I said, the board should never let this happen again. And the board did. So I don't feel bad at all. So.
Okay. Well, I hate to do this on camera, but would you expound on that, please?
So I believe there should be a backup to every position. Graham has his people that can step in when I'm not here. I have a succession plan. When I'm not here, someone steps right in. Everyone has stuff that can happen. So
right.
Every position there should be someone fully trained to be able to do that position for the most part, and it hasn't been done.
Okay, I'm glad you explained that, because I thought you might have been referring to something else, and I wanted that to be explained.
That's what I mean, is that I believe it's a big pet peeve of mine that every position should
Yes. have
someone trained to do that same job.
And going even further back than that is,
Sorry.
so it came out during COVID, right? COVID, when we had to quarantine for 2 weeks, you know, Cindy was out and we had email issues, whatever. So I remember myself and Rich St. Clair at the time stating the same thing, right? Joel has a number 2 or 2 and 3. I have a number 2, you know, that can kind of step in and take over. And the necessity for that continuation of the town government is very important. Knowing full well that it's tough to staff new positions for assistants and, you know, and full-time or part-time positions, as we've seen in the past several years here in Kingston. But, you know, trying to make that, you know, maybe even a long-term goal, that, hey, in 5 years, we'll have a backup to the librarian, we'll have a backup to, you know, you yourself as the chair have Ellie who could run a meeting in your absence. So that's the continuity is.
Of course, the redundancy is important, especially where we don't have deep, deep benches, if you will, of, lots of layers. So, each individual is a critical piece. And without somebody at least having some understanding and knowledge of a job that could fill in is important, yes.
I would like to say that I know that Marissa has worked with Paula and that she has the ability to do some of the tasks. So it's better than zero. It's better than zero. So, obviously we have a discussion that needs to occur very quickly. But we do have at least the ability for some of the functions to continue until we can figure that out. But to your point, Tammy, yes, I understand that.
We'll be able to get payroll out, and probably that's about it.
That's okay.
It's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong.
All right.
But anyway, that's another discussion.
The board will be working on that. Clearly, we now have more work to do. I would like to make a motion that we accept the resignation of Paula Mahoney as of last day being May 13, and I will say that it's with regret. At least that's my motion.
I'll second that with sincere regret.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No, I don't want to accept her resignation.
Be that way. Okay. All right.
I will say yes, I'm sorry that Paul is leaving.
Okay. Well, after that, do you have anything else that you'd like to report to us today?
Just regular stuff going on.
Okay. All right. Hi, Marissa. You weren't here when I did introductions, so this is Marissa Federico, Human Services Director.
Yes. I first want to say how sad I am to hear that Paul is leaving, and I've seen firsthand how hard she works and how much she gives to the town. So, didn't want to express that. It's been pretty quiet, it's steady, it's busy, but it's manageable. I just finished updating all of the applications and forms that I use. I'm going to be working with the guidelines next, and so I'll be presenting something to you guys with some revised guidelines. Little tweaks here and there, nothing major. That's about it.
I see residential placement still a challenge.
Yes.
The expenses that go with it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I have quite a few people that have contacted me looking for housing. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah. There's not much in town that's affordable, and it's kind of awkward for me to have conversations with people to be like, well, I don't know if you can stay in town, but yeah, it's definitely still a problem. Absolutely, without question, it's still a problem. Affordable housing. The average rent in Rockingham County is over $2,000. Holy cow. So, and that's average. So you're seeing some fluctuation. So it's definitely still tough for people. Absolutely. And the state isn't giving the aid that they used to. That funding was all dried up. So it puts more pressure on us.
Well, and that's going to continue in many areas. I mean, the downshifting of costs to communities is getting worse, and it's going to be worse.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I mean, I can anticipate that when we sit down looking at budgets this coming year, it's going to be rough. Anything else, Marissa?
No, that's it.
Questions for Marissa? Okay, thank you. Melissa?
I'm sending out library calendars for the month for children's programs and adult programs if you're interested. Don't have much to report. We're waiting for the fixing of the Morse room. We've been functioning okay, except all of our exercise programs have been put on hold. It should be within the next 3 weeks, I'll say, that we have chosen a contractor. We're just waiting for them to fit us in the schedule. And then the other thing I have to mention is we are officially starting a capital campaign
Oh. Well, that's a good individual to be working with for that. Yeah. Great. Anything else? No? Questions for Melissa?
How much do you have to raise for that outdoor committee? How much will you have to raise? What are you looking at for a cost for that pavilion? Or is it gonna be in
So the
stages?
full cost currently is 1.4 million, fluctuating between 1.1 and 1.4.
It's gorgeous, but
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Tom?
Morning. I'd like to thank Paula for all the help you've given me. Sorry to see you go. The roof on the Nichols, the copper work's completed. The door will be started probably the end of this month. Well, it is the end of the month, but soon. We don't need to discuss the stairs. So we did some duct cleaning, which doesn't get done very often. We did it at the library and the police station. And that went well. Obviously, green season, white season's over, green season's started, so we're busy doing our thing. The well at the Plain Cemetery is getting rebuilt this week. Hopefully that'll be done 3 or 4 days. And we'll probably be putting a flagpole donated from a citizen in Kingston. We'll hopefully get that up soon.
Where, Tom?
At the Plain Cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have a flagpole. And paving will be most likely started after school sometime in June. We're coordinating with Newton on New Boston Road, and that will be the lion's share of the paving budget. Pending what's left, we'll determine what we're going to do after that. But that should be, well, it should be mid-June, hopefully end of June. I haven't nailed down a date, but they want to get it done fairly quickly. And yeah, that's about it.
I had sent you, thank you for that. I had sent you a note last week. I didn't know if you wanted to discuss at all where you are with the paving plan coming up for this year.
Well, like I just said, the lion's share of New Boston Road has to be done. Then there's a road such as Jericho. I mean, you can drive down any road. There are lateral cracks everywhere. Sometimes they settle out after a little time, after the beginning of the spring. Roads are always moving. We certainly can crack seal. That's part of and there's a small budget for that. We can increase that depending on the demand and the condition of the road. And that road those cracks are significant, and they're not only lateral, they're center line. So without resurfacing, which really isn't that practical, I think it will be a crack sealing job. We'll just add that to the list. But yeah, so that's just I mean, we have a running list of roads we crack seal, and that will be one of them.
Okay. Questions for Tom?
I mean, short of, the chip seal it is what it is. Chip seal does not prevent road cracking. Helps, but doesn't prevent it.
So were you gonna, I understand that most of the funding is gonna be eaten up by New Boston, but
Yeah.
are you gonna present, a plan of after you've triaged, and then
yeah.
we can determine,
We can.
okay.
Yep, we can.
Because if there's other roads that cannot last another year, we're gonna have to figure it out.
Well, you know, that goes back, that's the age-old, if everyone supports me next year and asking for $1.45 million paving budget, we wouldn't have these problems. You know, there's a limited budget, and there's over 60 miles of road. So that budget basically will repave 2 miles of road, 2+. So you just do the math. And so in the meantime, maintaining, and that's why the chip seal was tried to extend the life of roads. I think rock, rimming, and ball, that's a different type of chip sealing. It's more of a rubber-based. But
There's no question that the highway department learned from Jericho Road.
Right.
But I don't see us going back and repaving Jericho Road. Now, the chip sealing, maybe if you use a similar chip seal that we had on Rock Rimmon and Ball Road, that may help the cracks on Jericho. But you can't go back and...
You could resurface over that. You could do a shim and overlay. But there are, I mean, just off the top of my head, dozens of roads in worse condition. So, I mean, to me, that's not a very good look of, you have to address in other words, New Boston Road. I mean, that's a heavily trafficked road that's in terrible condition. There are multiple other roads that will, my feeling is, crack seal that road, if the board decides we want, because chip seal wasn't widely accepted as the answer to that road, then that's gonna have to be a board decision. Because personally, I would crack seal it, but I wouldn't resurface it, because if I lived on Brookhaven, perhaps I might get a little upset.
Can you put together within, I don't know, because it'll take a while.
Yeah, I could.
Just a whole,
I
because
could list.
if we have to reallocate money because there's roads that are not gonna make it, that's what we have to look at,
Yeah,
so.
And I don't think the roads, it's not, in my opinion, it's not a road that's not going to make it. It's a road that didn't get treated as every other road. And
that's not a fair thing.
come on.
You know.
Can I ask a question? Is it the board's thought that they are going to, just ask the question, that they're going to, once he puts a paving plan together, that the board will then dictate what
Decide.
roads get done?
No.
Okay.
It's not my opinion.
No, but we've had paving plans in the last couple of years, just to see what the thought is and what in the condition, and so Tom should tell us, these roads really need some sort of attention by this method.
Right.
And just so we know what a cost is that we're looking at.
Right.
Not to interrupt, but as a liaison for Tom, we've talked about this already. He's got a lot of spring projects that have come up. We get the cemetery that he's trying to work on. You have roadside ditches for the rainstorms, cleaning culverts. He's got multiple roads that need attention. Sure. So I think he's gonna make a list, and he prioritizes heavily traveled roads, the important roads that are gonna be destroyed the next year, and I think he'll be getting back to the board with that.
And that's what I'm asking.
And that's what he's gonna do.
That's exactly what I'm asking.
That's what he's gonna do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Pedro?
Yes, first, sorry, Paula, to see you go. Thank you for assisting the building department in integrating the new finance system to work in tandem with applications. Thank you for helping setting up the workflow, labeling, numbering of the whole cloud permit session so that we have a very organized, transparent permitting option. Thank you for everything you did. I really appreciate you. We are we're climbing in the busy times of the town. Here today we have 200 applications, 50 new constructor registrations, and we are in the process of reviewing the large commercial project going on Route 125 for CJ&J, the refrigeration place. They are also going through the planning board to make a site plan adjustment because the approved site plan, they found ledge in some areas that can have to be mitigated, so they are deviating from the initial plan. So prior to approving that, we are waiting on a final response from the planning department. That's where we are.
Questions for Pedro? Joel? Microphone, please.
I echo what everybody else has been saying here. It's a shame that it has to be like this. I wish you the best. You've done many great things for me. I appreciate it. Appreciate you a lot. That being said, good luck. As far as the PD goes, everything's going pretty smooth. I passed around a little chart of comparison from last year we were at. You'll notice that out of 19 towns in the local area, we are by far have more arrests, more citations. We're busy. If I didn't have 2 new guys and 1 out on a medical, these numbers would be much higher than last year. I don't know where we're headed. Doesn't seem to get any better out there on the street. I'm predicting right now that I will probably be requesting or putting in a warrant article next year for another officer, especially with this new developments that are coming in. Across from Marshall Road 107, they're putting in, eventually they're gonna be doing a bank, as you all know, about 30 units, a restaurant, and a merchant store. And then across the street from that, they're putting another, some duplexes, I think, or housing, is that correct?
On 107?
On Marshall Road, also.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Yes.
Then they're doing the golf course, they're doing 107, excuse me.
The distribution center is still yet to be built,
Right,
but that's coming along.
It's only gonna get worse for me, so I'm probably gonna be looking for some help, some guidance on how to go about bringing in another officer. My detective is very busy. A lot of investigations going on, a lot of scams, a lot of child abuse, things like that. We're just straight out. So that's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
When you say next year, do you mean the upcoming one or a year from the upcoming one?
This
This coming.
coming budget, I plan on putting in a warrant article, and I would like to support. We're busy. I know it's a lousy time to do it, but
Okay. Questions for Joel? Lori? Oh. Anybody else?
No.
Question?
I have an update from the rec director, if you want me to do that now or under.
Sure.
Okay. She was not able to make it today. I have copies of the multi-play court that the rec committee agreed on, but I want to pass this around, I only have a few copies, and make sure that Public Works, the Highway Department is on board and understands what they need to do. Camp counselor interviews will be held on Sunday, May 4th, and then Serve with Liberty is a organization they've worked with in the past. They're coming on Friday, May 2nd, between 8:30 and 2:30 to help clean and prepare the rec center for camp. And it's a group of volunteers that come and do this every year. So on that note, I'll pass around, we're gonna have to share. Make sure that everybody has, this is what the rec committee, and then get them over that way, has come up with for the multiplayer court.
Ellen, and you and I can look at this one.
So there's, it looks like there's 2 pickleball courts, 2 shuffleboard, and then an area for hopscotch. So I guess, Tom, I have a question for you. The highway department is painting, is that what the plan is?
Well.
Have you seen this?
No.
Okay, so this is the first time you're seeing it, okay.
Designs, but this is the understanding that I had, and of course, it's clear as mud, that the highway department or the town was going to put in a court and paint it with surface paint. As far as laying out pickleball courts and shuffleboard courts, and that was never, like I said, clear as mud. So if you want us to lay out courts and paint them, whatever. But that wasn't, again, clear as mud. So what I told the rec director, the previous rec director, and we ordered the paint, was we were going to paint this surface whatever color you chose, which was blue. We ordered the blue. This month it will be painted, and then have a nice day. That's what was understood.
Okay. All right.
But if I'm wrong, again, clear as mud, so let's and go from there. I thought one of the members who pushed for this was going to lay out his court. We bought him 2 gallons of white paint for that reason. So that's where I stand. And again, it doesn't matter to us. Decision's got to be made, and we'll follow through.
So I don't have anything from the rec director other than the plan. So I guess that's why we're having this conversation on who is supposed to paint it. I know that there was money in that warrant article to purchase the paint, right? And I know that the highway department did a lot of the work.
And we do have the paint, and it's probably going to be within the next week or 2. We'll paint it when the weather cooperates. But as far as laying out the courts, if that's what you want us to do, we certainly can do it.
Well, I would expect that the rec director and you, Tom,
right,
that they would have been working with you to come up with a plan.
And that's what I understood. Well, of course, there's a new rec director. She doesn't know what was said and what was talked about. There was a individual who is big on the pickleball that was going to paint it after we surface paint. That's what I just said. That's where it's left. Now, if it's going to change, that's fine. Well, yes, but right. And I would say to her, yeah, I probably could handle that. I don't know, shuffleboard, but I don't know. I'd have to look a little.
I think the board, Tom, thank you for that input on that, but I think the board really needs to go back and look what was voted on by the voters, and I think it was to build the court and have it painted. This is really a great idea, but there's quite a bit of cost involved here. I mean, and here we are having discussions on how busy the highway department is, and now we're customizing this structure, which I don't believe is what the town of Kingston voted on.
So the town of Kingston voted on a multi-use court.
Correct.
They did not say.
A surface.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
yes.
And that's what I'm getting at, because next we're going to have a lighting diagram. The put in streetlights down here.
So
okay?
they,
So they need to come to the town, I think, and request.
Who's they?
The rec department. They need to come
commission.
and talk about this and the cost involved and where that money's gonna come from to do this project. This is in addition to what the taxpayers voted
Well,
on.
I don't know, what's the status of the warrant article?
So the
Paula?
warrant article was to build the court.
Yep,
And to paint it a solid whatever color, blue, I guess. And then provide the supplies for the paint for anything else. So, and that is what we did. So at the end of last year, once the court was done, we had, I can't remember the exact number, a certain amount of money left over from what the warrant article was. We gave up some of it and we set aside, was it 5,000? For the paint and supplies, because we couldn't do it in December.
Right.
And that is all that, and he's
And
bought and all that
the
stuff.
paint and supplies consisted of blue paint, $2,200 worth of blue paint to resurface and again, 2 gallons, and this came from the rec committee / director / somebody that likes pickleball. 2 gallons of white paint, okay? For playing a pickleball court.
well,
And-
right, because that was the, I think the
Because
impression.
what I heard, again, nothing in writing, nothing discussed with me personally, this was the previous director and, so there's a lot of transition, that they were going to paint the court. We were supplying it, here you go.
They had volunteers that were going to do.
And that may be
all
the
that.
case.
And
I mean,
that's-
I read to you what I was provided, so I don't know
Right. So,
what the plan was.
so we had no problem, I said, no problem, I would prefer we paint the surface, and then whatever the rec committee decides, if they want to pickle, or they want a circle on it, they want a hopscotch, here's the white paint, and have a nice day. If that's going to change, that's fine. You're probably right. Maybe that's a discussion that I should have been involved in. But that's where it's at, so.
So is there any money left over from that 5,000?
Probably about 2,500 maybe.
So if they still, because that looks like it's more than just blue and white, so,
Right.
so if there's still money for paint, is my question.
Yep.
And you were gonna, when you say surface paint, you were painting the whole thing blue? Well, because I think,
What was decided?
They need to talk, I mean, that obviously.
yeah,
This is not the place to
let's
get
try and
iron it
get
out.
No.
yep, okay.
Because I don't even know we have that kind of room down there for all that to move.
Well, they do. They laid it out according, yes, they do have room for that.
But can we just have recreation and
Yes.
Tom talk about it? And
Yeah.
then
Yes.
if there's
Yep, I agree.
discrepancies, they can come back to the board?
Yes.
Tom, does that work for you? Yeah.
So how are we communicating with rec?
I'll
Are you
communicate
gonna-
with the rec, but I guess my question is, regardless of who's painting it, they sent us the plan for a reason, so are we good with the plan? Because it's a multi-use court.
No, I'm
Why?
not good
I'm
with
not good with
anything
the
until
plan.
they talk with Tom. I'm not good with anything until they review this. with Tom.
If the highway department isn't providing any labor, and this is a rec department thing, and that's what the warrant article was for a multi-use court, if they're doing all of the work, and they agreed on that layout of the court, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with highway department if they do their obligation. We're talking about the
Well, it doesn't.
layout of the
They think
court.
they're painting the whole thing blue. So right now, there's a discrepancy as to who has the idea of what the finished product.
I
is
understand
gonna look
that.
like.
I understand whether it's all being painted blue or not. I think they want approval is, can we do 2 pickleball courts, shuffleboard, and a hopscotch? Regardless of who's painting.
And I hear loud and clear on that, and I understand that. But the board is, I'm not ready to agree to do this because I don't know whether we want to make this kind of permanent surface change down there, number one. It's great that we have the money for the paint, and there's going to be volunteers from the recreation to do it. That's not a problem either. But they need to work it through Tom first, and then we talk about the spatial arrangement and how permanent or not permanent, all that stuff comes into play. I think it's an ambitious proposal, but there's a lot of missing pieces, that's all. It's too soon to, I can't approve this now, let's put it that way.
All right, so Lori, you're going to speak with Abby.
Yep.
And Tom and Abby and maybe Lori will talk and get back to us as needed.
Yes.
Okay.
And let me know about that meeting, I'll be there too.
Okay.
Okay. I'll let you hold on to that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, well, that was quite the session this morning, and we're only partway through. Okay, it is 4 minutes after 10, and we do have an appointment, but we have public comment before that. Was there any public comment that folks would like to make?
We also do have the bids to open up, that's on your list. Right after the.
Electrical bids.
I'm just looking, oh, yes. I wrote all kinds of stuff around it, so yes, we can do that after the appointment, and we will do that after the appointment. I'll put it right there, Peter, so I don't forget it. All right. So seeing no public comment, we'll go to our 10 o'clock appointment, which is now going to be at 10:05. Representative from SMP Architects, I'm assuming it's this gentleman sitting here. And if you could come up to the table, please. Once you get yourself seated, just push the button till it turns green on the mic. There you go. And introduce yourself.
Good morning, all. My name is Anthony Mento, and I'm here representing Shear McChrystal Paulson Architecture from Concord. Thank you for your time. And thank you, Susan, for helping coordinate this. Last year, our firm was asked to do a few things here in town with regard to the town hall. One of which was to look at your existing front stairs and provide a solution to renovate them. I feel as though I walked into a meeting that you had previous conversations today that I'm not aware of, but there is something particular I'd like to speak to regarding the stairs. Along with the stairs, we were tasked with looking at the building, doing a feasibility study of the building structure, look at the condition of various elements, code review, and then try to lay out a unique floor plan for downstairs that could reconfigure the space for offices, for use, that provided better public access and safety and security for your staff and occupants. So those are the two items that we've done today, and that's what I wanted to speak to.
Okay.
If I can go to the stairs.
Sure.
We've been following through with construction administration, only a portion of it. We didn't review pay requisitions that your contractor has done, but we have made certain that the scope of work that we detailed in the drawings and the engineered plans were achieved and they followed it correctly. We reviewed submittals, and thankfully Tom is here to participate in it all along. There were some changes that occurred. I don't know how it ended up cost-wise, because we weren't looking at any of that. But as far as the quality of the workmanship, I'm quite pleased with the integrity of the foundation system that they've laid in place and reinforced, and then reinstalling all the granite is what we expected and sealed, and I have high confidence that it will last for the long haul. You're not going to be repairing this again. Okay, it's stable. I understand that the railing system was being installed last week. The railing is and was as designed, and why it was designed that way is because of the building code and the ADA requirements. I understand that the railing extension at the lowest portion extends out into the paved area, and that seemed to be a problem for this town. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about it before I comment further.
Well, I mean, you have characterized it correctly, that the railings were, the installation project started on them last week, and that Tom and a couple of select board members were made aware of that extension out beyond, and so we started looking at the drawings, your drawings, and I got to tell you, it didn't appear that what was being installed was per your drawings.
Okay.
Now, I hate to use this meeting to get into all the details, but and you know, we were looking at whatever information we had, and so with regard to the extension beyond at the bottom, extension beyond the bottom step. There was the thought about, yes, maintenance in the wintertime in particular, but also the fact that sticking out as people were walking by, it seemed that it could be a real obstacle for folks. And so that's when we went back and looked at the plans, and the plans do show extension beyond the bottom step, but not as much as what the product was actually showing.
Okay.
I have a picture, you want me to see the picture?
Yeah, we had a plan that the board had that we discussed as a board, and we voted on that. And then the plan that went to the manufacturer of the railing was a second plan that was slightly different than the plan that we had. And then what was actually delivered was completely different than both plans. So it was very deceiving how that plan showed the height of that railing and how much it stuck out past the building to what I mean, we're talking, it was like, the plans dictated like roughly 5 inches, and that railing was up over 15 inches from the front step. So it totally didn't really match either plan. So I think we took some measurements, and we thought we figured out where the miscommunication maybe went on the top rail, that he did some measuring on that, but it clearly didn't match any of the photos we had, what was being installed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. That's all news to me. The requirement is that the extension pass the riser of the lowest stair by 1 foot, a 1 foot extension beyond. And that is in the requirements since 1977. I don't know. The fact that you drive by and plow is unique to this situation, because there's not always plowing that occurs right there. I cannot accept modifying the railing that's not code compliant, unless it's you direct me to do that in writing.
I think it, looking
as
at
a building inspector for the town, I think that the town will not post that that risk, because it opened the door to going to attorneys, and if something happens. So I don't think the town will be willing to put that risk out there. Tom?
No, of course not. But my thought is, obviously it has to be code compliant. But the way it laid out with it being, and this is probably not the topic we need to really get into. If it's code compliant on top, the bottom was, if it could be a different, so it's not, obviously, you have to follow code, but we don't, it was about, what, 4 inches off the ground, about a foot out, 15 inches, and it needs some tidying up.
So this information is new. I will reach out to Ryan at Triple and talk with him about it, but I need some specifics because since it's not there currently, I intended to see them installed and be able to view it today, but Friday it changed. So we'll work to get it resolved in a manner that is code compliant and acceptable to you, and I'll probably provide something back to the board later this week.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Pertaining to the building condition assessment, I have 2 copies of it printed for you. We had a mechanical engineer who you were working with previously do the mechanical, electrical, plumbing assessment that's added in here at the end. I looked at the whole building and structure, insulation, roof, the cupola, which I think is an item that the town should put on your capital improvement plan at some point. There are important things that should be considered. I try to highlight what I could. I think you've done a really good job of maintaining this building, beautiful structure. I think the stairs now help considerably. Any questions about the building condition assessment report?
Well, we have not seen the report.
I know, I'm gonna leave it with you. I also have a digital copy, which I'll give to you, so.
Okay.
Afterwards, if there's anything I can respond to, okay?
Okay, so we'll look at that. You said that we have an electronic copy?
We don't have it yet.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Susan, you can distribute that to the board, and,
Hopefully we can open it up.
well, yes, and if not, we do have the hard copies, if we have trouble with the electronic, and then we can certainly get back to you with any questions, or what next steps might be.
Yep.
Did you anticipate what next steps might be?
I think you would need to determine what you want to do, and then you would have somebody, our firm or others, section out what you wish to do, provide some simple drawings that summarize the scope of work, and then get a construction manager or builder to provide you an anticipated cost.
Did you focus on this floor as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, all levels. So lower level, main level, the upper level, the roof, all the sides, the wall section.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
And does your report, does your report include some sketches and some initial concepts, or is it just narrative discussion?
There's drawings in it, the original drawings, there's existing plans that we measured and drew. We did not put any of the proposed drawings into it as of yet, because we're looking at the building as is, as was when we did it.
Okay, so we won't be looking at proposed ideas and concepts.
It's not in there.
In there, right?
Yeah.
Please get in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are the full-size plans of the lower level and the main floor, of which I'm going to keep with you and your staff, because when we met originally, there was various ideas of how you viewed the plans should be laid out. So what I have are one sheet called out existing conditions, lower level and main level.
Main level being the one we're sitting in.
Yes. I then have a renovation plan staff proposed, and as best of my knowledge from the notes I took that day, I tried to capture the areas of how you viewed reconfiguring downstairs. leaving the floor plan basically as it is with that center corridor. We wanted to make some changes with doors so that they're swinging towards the path of egress, which are currently not correct. So that this plan shows a simple reconfiguration of how you can set up the lower level. We also have an upper level plan here that shows how you can utilize the space behind the stage by adding a wall and reconfiguring the stairs to get up there to utilize it. That can be done. It's tight. It requires some modifications of the stairs, but here's how you could do it. Okay? And then in addition, because we're architects, we can't help but put our idea to it. We have an S&P proposed lower level plan, which lays out all the offices slightly differently. We have a new entrance into a vestibule, into a lobby, which has counters for assessing, tax collection, clerk's office, right off that lobby. There's spaces for, there's open office, we're not gonna get into all of it now, but I wanna leave it with you. So open offices, your desk and location's the same. We have a break room. We've got planning there set up. We've got assessing. We've just changed the corridor location to go because you have an entry and you've got a bathroom and a Lula lift and then access to the stairs up here. So I reconfigured it so that it would be utilized differently. So got a place for a printer, copier, a break room. So we tried to work around all of the columns, the structural elements of the holding up this floor. We wanted to leave your data room as is. We wanted to leave the mechanical rooms as is, so we just reconfigured it.
Great.
I think utilizing the back of the stage makes a lot of sense. It will allow you an additional meeting space, a controlled area that's not as luminous and acoustically separated, and oh yeah, I relocated this selectmen's assistant up on this floor as well. So those are the changes.
Okay. Without having seen the plan,
Yep.
I'm assuming that for this floor here in this area, that the facade remains.
Yes.
Curtains remain.
Yes.
This sort of curved part remains. And some part of the floor here remains before there's a wall.
Correct. All the proscenium and the stage arch remains, the stage itself stays, the curtains would remain, a wall would be behind the curtain. So from here, you wouldn't know that any modifications occurred. The plan that we were striving for is to have access to, so usually for town halls, we want to have a separate, safe exit for the employees. So if somebody comes in, employees can get out the back way. That's made difficult where you've got an elevator in the middle and the bathroom in the middle, and you've got to divide it in half. We've maintained an egress here going down and out, and that would be the main exit for the staff into and out that way. And we also like the idea of having an entry up from down below right to the stage. So there's some tweaks that can be done after you view it. Let me know your thoughts and we can make adjustments. But similarly, like the renovation plan of the town hall in general, the board needs to decide what you want to do, and then we have to look at what it will cost to do the drawings and get estimates.
Right. Okay.
About it.
All right.
I have a
Yes.
question. Anthony, you mentioned to put the cupola on the CIP. Is that in your plan? And what particular about the cupola that we should think about?
So it's included in the report, and I highlight various items that are important. There's water infiltration through the glazed windows. The wood is rotted in areas. There's moisture that gets in and onto the ceiling of the attic that's behind us, and there's just it's been there ever since the building was built, and it really needs some attention.
Okay.
It's going to be a challenge, and it will require a company coming with a crane, disassembling, detaching the cupola from the roof, and craning it off and bringing it down. Then you can really work on it. It can be worked on in the lot, it can be worked on in a shop, but then it can be renovated. The wood repaired. If there's any, lead-based paints in it, it can be faded. And then all the work can be done and then raised up and put back on the roof. I talk about sealing it and capping it so that there's a membrane, a roof membrane underneath the cupola, because currently there's not. I also talk about having insulated roof hatches that enable you access into the cupola and then onto the main roof. So, there's a lot there.
Okay. Thank you.
This is big money.
It's usually done in a phased approach.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is not a simple project. This is a big project.
It would be, yes.
Yeah.
Not as big as the fire station was, but it's.
But big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but you asked to have us look at it. So
Yep, absolutely.
That's great.
Yep.
So I'll leave you with the full-size drawings, existing, proposed, in my report.
So what I'm going to suggest, did you have anything else before I start kind of wrapping it up?
Nope.
Any questions for Anthony on this, at this point? So I'm going to suggest that those plans and the hard copy reports go down to your office, Susan, have them on your table down there, and board members at their leisure can go and view them, look at them, and in the meantime, you'll get electronic copies of the plans, and hopefully we can open them on our laptops or whatever and look at them. And then we should put this on an agenda not too far into the future to chat about it. Any idea, how long do you want? Do you want a couple of weeks to give you time to look at things?
I would say so, at least 2 weeks.
Does that work? All right, so if we put this back on our agenda for, what meeting, Susan?
2 weeks would be the 12th.
May 12th? Why don't we shoot for that? And in the meantime, that gives a couple of weeks for board members to review stuff and be ready to kind of chat about it.
Susan, is that the last meeting before the 28th?
No, there's a 19th department heads. And then, and then it's Memorial Day, so you're thinking about your date for
Yeah.
the leaning. What did you say, the
28th.
We'd have to, not sure how we're gonna handle.
What's this?
For what? For the tax lien. For the,
No.
Can we do them?
Hopefully, they're all gonna be paid, and it's not gonna be an issue at all.
Right.
We're gonna go with that.
We're going that.
We're going that route, yes.
And then we'll deal with it if not, right?
Deal with it as needed. Okay. All right, so we'll put this on our agenda for May 12th to continue discussing, and Anthony, we'll get back to you, with questions, and there undoubtedly there will be questions. So, thank you very much for coming in and updating us, and for the work you've done.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I'm going to suggest we take a 5-minute break too before we continue this meeting, and keep in mind that the broadcast is staying on. We won't turn it off. So, Anthony, as far as you're concerned, is this the end of what you're obligated to do for us at this point?
It is, and except I want to resolve this.
The railings, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. We're back. The next item, which I had skipped over, is we are opening the bids for the electrical work on the planes. And they're in this packet.
How many bids do we have?
I think she said 5.
They're all in one envelope?
Yeah, Lisa collected them and put them in an envelope.
Were it delivered like that?
I didn't get them, they came to highway.
I thought they were supposed to be delivered.
Why did they go to highway?
Yeah, that's what the RP said.
Oh, it
So-
did? Okay.
So,
That's unusual.
were they supposed to be delivered sealed to highway?
Yeah.
So,
I'd have to read the
So
RFP.
she wouldn't have known, that's why I wouldn't have, so I'm surprised with, well, I was asleep, I didn't see it was going to the highway for the bids.
I don't know if they said sealed. Did they have to be sealed?
did they say
But they're not
sealed?
sealed.
I don't think.
All right,
There are 5.
okay.
Just copies and not the originals?
These are the originals.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are 5 of them. All right, I'm going to pass, there were 5 of us, so we're each going to get one. All right.
That's fair.
Lori, someone can take that one. Take that one.
You take one and I take one.
Oh, hang on, maybe there's more than 5.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
No, this is the,
This is the RFQ.
Oh,
That's right, yeah, this is the RFQ itself.
so, Ellen, you have one? Peter, you have one? Yes. Okay. There's one there's one there,
And then I need one.
and then there's one for you, and then I have one. Okay.
They asked for digital format.
Got it.
So, I mean, it's interesting, we asked for a request for quotation, I'm assuming that it was supposed to be a firm price bid, yes?
Yeah, I don't have the RFP in front of me, but I think it tells you on the bottom. You read, may say something about materials, again, I don't have a right copy.
Okay.
Basically, if there's anything we're missing, let us know when the bid.
Submissions. It is yeah, it's a request for quote.
Correct.
The only thing I was concerned about is that on a couple of these that I've looked at, it says estimate, it doesn't say.
I have a formal proposal on.
Yeah, well, some of them don't read that way. Okay,
I guess we're,
I know, I have a total price, and then I have a per cost for other things. So, we're not getting all apples here. We're
So
No,
the
we're
way,
getting apples and tangerines.
so the way,
Apples.
so the way the bid reads, our request for quote, it says vendors interested in bidding on this project are directed to review the Town of Kingston's needs detailed below and provide a proposal to the requester. All questions shall be required. Okay, so, and then project description, goals and objectives, timeline, materials requested, and other, all trenching and digging to be done by others, all electrical installed per code, all utility fees are not included, talks about insurance requirement, permit, building permit will be exempt because it's town work. It says that all submissions are public records and all submissions shall be in digital format. Quotes received after deadline will not be considered, and that's the extent of it. So,
It's not as tight as it could be.
correct, it's not. So why don't we just quickly review what we've got? Lori, go ahead.
Okay, I have a quote from Live Free Electrical out of Gilmanton. They have a couple of notes where they said that what was in the spec wasn't appropriate per national code, so they quoted a different spec wire. In any event, their total price was $42,500. And then they had 3 additional costs for a lighting adder, $350 per, additional GFCI receptacles, $150 per, and then 30 amp, 120, 250 volt twist lock receptacle adder, $250 per. So clearly the $42,500 would then have a couple of additional costs because those items are not in the spec where they pulled it out, so.
What was the bottom line on that one?
$42,500.
Okay. And mine is from VG Electric. They're located in Kingston, it says. The total bottom line on it is $33,901.44. And it's broken out by parts and labor. So it gives a number for parts and an amount for labor, and then the $33,901.44 is the total. It's under notes at the bottom. It says pricing based on materials cost as of April 8, 2025, which is subject to change. Prices are based on the scope of work provided. Talks about change orders as needed, payment for parts in advance. They're recommending installing 30 amp or 50 amp outlets at the time of upgrades to allow distribution boxes to be used during high demand times, okay, i.e. Kingston days. Recommend installing any lights during the time of upgrade, and pricing for outlets and lights available upon request. Okay.
Okay, I have 2 in front of me. One is from J.C. Keller Electric out of Epping. There's not much detail on this. It's provide materials and labor for town planes, town of Kingston, for new electric services per quote request. And it's submitted by John Kelleher on behalf of J.C. Keller Electric Inc. And the total price is $27,179.55. The other quote here is from Kingston Electric, and it lists labor and permits. Okay, a description of the install the 400 amp meter socket, all load centers to have 1 to 220 amps. Also install a 20 amp meter socket with 1 to 200 amp load center. Options: replace PVC with 2.5 inch rigid metal conduit across the planes at a cost of $18 per foot for an additional charge of $1,800. Another option was to add light fixture at the load center location at $250 per location. Options not included in total: all electrical installed per National Electrical Code, utility fees not included, trenching done by the town of Kingston, load center stanchions supplied by others. Due to the rising cost of materials, prices are subject to change without notice, and the total price is $39,614.95.
Okay, thank you.
I have Campbell Electric out of Northwood. Again, it's very similar to everybody else who talks about, the price of materials that could go up and could affect their quote by up to 3%. Installation, National Electric Code, local electric codes. Talks about just basically about the liabilities. Seems like it's kind of a generic quote. It just talks about different things in the business, talks about some the payment requirements. It doesn't include the cost of trash removal. I mean, this is like I'm saying, it's just kind of like it's pretty extensive, a very small, a little add-on. There's a bunch of things. the warnings is only gonna apply to, the electricians, installation and materials, fixtures, equipment. This is a blueprint location to be used as a guideline where field conditions will determine final locations. So 44,529. This is the bid on this one.
Okay, thank you. Ellen?
I have All Solution Electric LLP from Fremont. They have it done by location. They asked for 50% deposit and then the final, after the final inspection. The project total is $33,830, but then they have an add-on. This is add alternate and light per panel location with switch and photo eye, excavation of trench to subgrade only, and that says $14,835. Price includes all inspections. There's nothing about any add-ons in case prices change or any of that. This little map has been included, but on the back of the map is a bid we got from another company.
She didn't know not to open those
So
envelopes.
I'm just saying that there's a note on the back that says what another.
They were provided digitally, though, so they weren't a sealed bid. So they were probably emailed.
Yeah, it looks like some of these might be.
So somebody was probably just making notes, looking at two of them.
Combination, probably.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm like, oh, there's another number on the back, and then when you read it, I'm like, oh, wait, that's another company. So again.
Okay, so there are a total of 6. Some of them are more thorough and complete than others, but then again, our request was not as detailed and tight as, a lot of requests that we put out.
Again, this one doesn't say anything about costs could go up.
Right. But is it a quote or an estimate? Because a lot of them say estimate. Doesn't say. Okay.
It says deposit, final inspection, and project total.
Okay, so, our typical process when we do bids and quotes and proposals is that we open them, which we've just done. They're announced, they're public at this point. Usually we have them reviewed by another individual or party and making a recommendation to us. Any thoughts on that, about how we might want to handle that?
Well, obviously, Tom has to look at them.
Yes.
Peter, what's your recommendation?
It's a board decision.
No, I mean, on who should review it?
Well, Tom's one of the bidders.
Well, I meant Tom Ross. Definitely.
Tom.
Yeah, who else? Kind of thing.
Maybe Eric Johnson, who's our assistant electrical inspector. Maybe he could take a look at some of this. He may not be able to help us with what he included, but.
Would that be a conflict, because he works for, I wouldn't have to do it.
I'm not sure anyone's called him in the last year, so I don't know how much.
How about we ask Tom? Maybe not Tom knows somebody else he can have review that.
Oh, Tom Rowan.
Tom Rowan.
Yeah.
Maybe he can recommend somebody.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Right.
I mean, when our town inspector is one of the bidders, we certainly can't have anybody that he we have to just erase that impropriety.
Well,
So-
if he were to get the bid, then we would need Eric to be the one that does all the inspecting. So that's the other piece of that.
Right.
If Tom.
Right, exactly. We would have to have a different inspector. But yes, I would say Tom Rowan should.
Yeah.
Give a recommendation for who.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I think that's appropriate.
Maybe somebody from another town or something.
Okay. So Tom's going to review these, and, okay. Now, Ellen, we had also anticipated that we would be using, or doing public hearing for using possible infrastructure funds.
Yep.
Yes?
Yes.
And we talked about, we even had it on, I think it's on Susan's board about.
Noticed, yeah.
Oh, it's already noticed?
Yep.
For,
May 5th.
May 5th.
oh, okay. So we need an answer on this pretty fast.
Yep.
Because when we do a public hearing, we're gonna wanna know what the amount is.
Well, we could change the public hearing date too. I mean, if there's no emergency to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a standby anyway, what can be done out there on the plains.
Right.
So, I mean, to the point where you're like, we don't know when it's gonna start.
Right.
So,
So we do, just the only thing, most of these probably said prices are only good for 30 days. So let's try to keep within the 30 days of these bids.
Right.
And then work with them, whoever the winner is. Yeah.
there is quite a bit of work, that can be done out there. They disconnected the power to both those poles, so they can tear all that stuff down, they can make the backer boards, they can put the new panels up, they can kind of do all the above ground stuff. Then the last thing they're gonna do is install the wires, the underground. But they can kind of get going on the whole thing. Right. So, yeah, there's quite a bit of work besides just burying the wire.
When would you like to change the date to?
Well, why don't we do that last Monday, the 19th then?
The 19th is a department head?
Yes, so we still have a regular meeting though,
Yeah,
right? That'd be the last one.
So that's assuming Tom can find somebody and they can review 6 bids, right? I mean, I don't.
Right,
Right,
yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
we won't know that, but if we need to set a date, let's set the last one in May. If we have to change it, we change it.
So we're saying then, we're gonna be changing the proposed date of the public hearing for the funds to May, which date? May 19th, okay.
And if the department head meeting starts at
9, the public hearing would be what? We'll make it 10 o'clock?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So who's communicating with Tom?
Want me to take the folder back? I'll give those to Tom and I'll communicate with Tom. That way we can kind of get the ball rolling. There we go. So I'll have Tom look at these, have him get somebody to review, respond back to us. And by, what was the date, that 20?
Well, we're doing the public hearing on the 19th.
All right, so I'll see if we can, I'll ask.
Like a week before, if we could get it, would be good.
That'd be the 12th, right?
Yep.
Okay, 5/12.
Yep.
Okay, all right, I'll talk to Tom.
Okay, thank
And
you.
if that can't work, just have them let us know, we'll change the hearing date.
Okay.
Okay.
Old business.
Old business.
Oh,
Oh, liaison reports.
Liaison.
Liaison. Who'd like to start that? Lori?
Yeah, I'll start. So last Thursday, I went to, I'm just gonna call it a presentation put on by Rye Select Board on SB 297, which is all about risk pools and how the insurance currently works, right? So essentially how it works right now, I'm just gonna use Health Trust as an example. They cover 100% of the cost. They don't put anything down to the towns. So they do it without assessments or other obligations to participating members. So other than your annual contribution, that's all you pay is your premiums. With SB 297, anything above your contributions that they view as a obligation, it's going to be transferred to the participating members. So they're going to push the costs down to the towns. So if there's catastrophic events and it's above what they had planned for, say, they've always eaten that cost. They plan on pushing it down now, okay? They go by what is called an assessment. And what an assessment is a provision that if assets of the pool risk management program, just think Health Trust, are at any time determined to be insufficient to discharge its claims, other losses and liabilities, they're gonna push that cost down. In the past, they've always assumed that risk.
Like a condo assessment.
I liken it, the only way I can make it sense is if you have your mortgage and you know, every year they look at the escrow and it might be off a little bit and they raise your escrow, that's what they're doing here. So they have triggering events which would cause them to do an assessment. And if a triggering event occurs, and I'll make these slides available if you, and Paula has a copy of them as well. I already met with her and went over this. So for a triggering event, the pooled risk management program may collect from participating members whenever required to get the money back to where they want it to be. So there is an amendment to SB 297, which they don't seem to be working on, because part of this is that they are requesting, part of 297 is that we have something called a healthcare stabilization fund, which would have to be by warrant, right? Because you have to contribute, and it has to equal 4% of your annual contribution. So if our annual contributions are $100,000, 4% is, what is 4%? I don't know. I don't do math. 4,000, right? Right. So if through some triggering event, they've determined that everybody in this risk pool, after they've done an assessment, because they're like, we're not assuming all the risk anymore, and they want, everybody has to then pony up $100,000 more on top of your annual contributions. If we don't have this healthcare stabilization fund, we still have to pay what would have been put into that. So that would be then $104,000 as opposed to just $100,000. So it's, they're penalizing us, this is the way the bill is written, they're penalizing us on a fund that we couldn't have created without a warrant article, right? So you still have to have that money associated. So with the amendment to 297, it takes that requirement for that fund away. So you don't have to have a reserve fund, but they still want to push down this risk to the municipalities. Primex is on board with it. They're okay with the bill as written. Health Trust is not.
This is a Senate bill.
It's a Senate bill.
Did it originate in the Senate?
It hasn't gone to the House yet, so
it has not.
Right.
Well, it has, because crossover has happened, so it must be at the House.
They haven't voted on it. It still has to, yeah, right.
Not voted, but
yeah.
it's
So, but there's amendments, and they're not really talking about the amendments yet. So,
did they talk at all about, at the meeting, about the municipal association's possible lobbying on this particular bill?
NHMA has put out something, and they're clearly not in favor of it because it really hurts the municipalities. But Health Trust will pull out if it passes. They'll still cover everything but medical, but that's what we rely on them for the most part. And this is my interpretation of all of this, so clearly I'm probably missing some salient points, but however, this is, that's why I'm going to make this available to you. Health Trust believes it would drive them into insolvency if this passes, so that's why they would pull out. And you know, the options for us, if they pull out for medical, it was we would essentially have to go out into the open market, which would be a problem. So there's a group of folks, and Mike Kotu is one of the Rise Select Board members who's really heading this up, and he was asking for representation from some of the towns to be able to like go to the governor and just really lobby on behalf of the municipalities for this not to pass, for obvious reasons, because it would really hurt municipalities. Because you know, we're looking at, you know, 100. If they do an assessment because they decide that they don't have enough money to cover the claims, they're pushing that down. That could be $100,000 that we have to come up with just for the they're calling it an assessment, just to make the risk pool management program, which is not an insurer, to make sure they're solvent and they can meet their claims. Right. It was 2 hours of insurance 101. Yeah, it was a lot. It was great, though. I mean, there was a lot of state reps there, actually, from the House, because they don't understand it either. So I thought it was great that Mike put this on. So I have his phone number, and I will provide these if you want to review it and try to get smart from the slides.
Didn't we just get something Friday from the NHMA about some things that were going to split in committee, or, and I thought this was one of them.
This was, I think it was talked about in our workshop on Thursday too, wasn't it?
I think it was talked about at the workshop.
Yeah.
But also, it was probably included in the NHMA legislative update that they send out at the end of each week.
Yep.
But, I mean, it's such a long list of things, it's unbelievable.
Yep.
I mean, there's so much stuff right now that's going on with regard to not only downshifting costs to towns and cities, but also, taking away town's control of things like a lot of zoning stuff,
Yep.
like setting lot sizes and frontages. And
Yep.
Again, I don't have my phone, so I can't double check.
They did. Was it a separate item, Peter, or part of the update?
No, it talks about exactly what Laura was speaking on behalf of the SB 29.7. The new mandates being pulled. It talks about NHMA opposes. It's quite a bit. It's a good read, but it was sent to us. It was sent to the board. It went out on the 21st, I believe, April 21st, from the NHMA government.
So one way was did anything Friday?
No, I did, but it didn't have anything to do with that.
Okay, I thought
I didn't see anything with that.
it was in the.
So, right. So a question for the board. I mean, we have not talked about, I mean, all this legislation is it's incredible. It's a huge amount. I know that a number of select boards are in the area have, taken a stand and written letters and done testimony. We as a board have not talked about that. Is it something that the board feels we want to do and should be doing?
I think this one in particular, some of them could go either way, but I think this one in particular is going to really negatively impact.
Absolutely, it's going to negatively. If it passes, we're looking at a probable additional cost that we won't know what it is. It could hit us at any time during the year if they decide that they're short.
And I think unfortunately, sometimes if your legislators don't hear from you, they think you're okay with it.
Yep.
I mean, that's just human nature. Go, well, they haven't said they were going to do it, so it must be okay.
So maybe in this issue, we should take a position.
So if we ought to do it by vote, just so that we're clear and that it's in the record. So if someone wants to make a motion to authorize the chair to, and maybe I could work with Lori to come up with a draft.
I think there were a lot of draft letters out there.
Well, there probably are, and there are probably lots of templates out there to use. To authorize me to come up with something to provide on behalf of the board to our legislators, maybe even to the governor, depending on the situation. Okay.
Are you moving the motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Motion by Ellen, second by Lori. And further discussion, so all right, I'll work on it.
Okay.
I would prefer to share it with the board before we send it out, so maybe between now and next meeting, I can come up with something for you all to look at. And Lori's got a lot of information, so if you're okay, I'm going to reach out to her. She was at that meeting, I was not. So if that's okay with the board. Okay, all right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, opposed, abstentions. That's unanimous. Okay. Okay. did you have other liaison reports?
I do. I have the first quarter collection center data. I see that Phil's here, so I'll give him a copy as well. I know that he had got it, but here, you can pass these around. So as we have talked about, Lisa Peralt from the Highway Department and the Finance Director worked on the numbers for the costs and credits for the collection center for this past quarter. So this is from January to March 31st. Initially, the dumpster cost was going to go up to $388, but they did agree to hold it at $375. So that cost reflects 3 dumpsters at $388 and I believe 1 at $375. We haven't received any credits for cardboard yet. That hasn't come through the waste management process. For employee labor, we have 41.5 hours. Other expenses, we have that listed for training for 3 more people, a curtain for the booth, and then our annual membership with NRRA. And then we have the realized tonnage reduction from what we have pulled out of the curbside, which was 9.98 tons. So the bottom line is that it cost us, meaning it was a debit of $2,372.37 for the quarter. We have an average of 98 residents who come out every 2 weeks and an average of 9 new users every 2 weeks.
So you get 98 cars every 2 weeks, is that what you have?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, there's always, every time we're open, we have new users. So we're still, the word is still getting out there and more people are coming to the collection center every time we're open. Even this past rainy Saturday, we still had quite a few people. It was very muddy. It was a big mud pit out there. Yeah.
Sure it was.
But it wasn't cold, so it was fine. Any questions?
Questions for Lori on this?
Are you counting, you're counting volunteer labor as a cost?
We're counting it as a credit. Well, because I know you don't agree.
I don't agree.
I know you don't agree.
I think that's bad math.
Okay.
Just saying that.
Okay.
I understand why you do it. Makes it look better, I understand, and it's volunteer time.
Yeah, and
all that is good.
Sure.
It's still not a true cost to the.
Well, because if we needed at least one more person, that would cost us, whereas right now, it's not.
Okay. We're gonna agree to disagree.
Sure, we can agree to disagree on that.
It's money going out the door.
Okay.
Other comments or questions? All right, thank you for putting that together, Lori. Okay, anything else? Anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. The only thing I was going to report was what Ernie talked about during his presentation for Heritage, so I'm going to pass it to you.
And Lynn pretty much updated the planning board news, so there was nothing else for me to report.
Okay. Peter?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, Ellen?
Wednesday, so that's more after that. Other than that, there's some non-public things, but we'll get to that.
Yep, we will. Okay. All right, under old business, we have, this is the return discussion with regard to Saddle Up. And Susan, I think it's in the orange folder, is it not?
Yeah, it's right. I think that's.
Yeah. It's this, and that's the one, right?
There's a condition on there that.
Okay, so all right. So if you recall, Mr. Pagliarulo visited with the board a couple of weeks back. Did not have a form filled out at that time, but proposed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 dates, and there are currently 5 on this one, for outdoor entertainment events that would be fundraisers at Saddle Up Saloon. And the board instructed him to, first of all, if he wanted to make a special event request, it should be on a form, so he's done that. And number 2, that at least a majority of the board felt that he should be talking with the planning board, because if this is going to be a regular thing, it really should be part of the site plan and not a special event permit from.
Did he not talk with Glenn Greenwood?
He did not. The note from Susan on my notes here says that he did meet with Robin, but he has not submitted an application for a site plan modification. Sure.
And I think this application is not for music, it's just for motorcycle events, right? In the front. I don't think it was.
No, it includes outdoor entertainment.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that he specified what that was.
He
but
did,
okay.
he gave us the dates of when he was
He
here
did give us
before.
the dates.
Right, but I
Right.
thought it was motorcycle.
I thought,
It's just motorcycles.
no, I think he expressed his interest because he has to schedule people to perform.
Right.
That's why he's
That's
looking to
true.
do that, because you have to reach out in advance to these people.
Okay.
That's why he requested that.
Okay.
And I think at one point, at least one of us asked him if it was including entertainment, and he said yes. Yes. I don't think he specified whether it was amplified or acoustic entertainment.
He said he wanted amplified.
He did, okay.
He did say that he hasn't had it amplified in the past, and he's had no complaints about the music.
Right.
But at this particular time, he would like to have it amplified, which I'm not in agreement
Right,
with.
and I believe that the sound checks and decibel levels and so forth were done at times when it was acoustic music.
So I have no problem with these dates. I have no problem with the stuff that he had last year, the acoustic. But we've already had somebody send an email to everybody, again, that believes that one of the reasons why there were no complaints about the sound was because it wasn't amplified. And the planning board in the past has said they can't have amplified. And I think this board has said acoustic in the past, and I think it should just be clarified that, yeah, these dates are good. It's just one a month at this point, and but that I think it's not on here that he wants it, but he did mention it, and I think that we need to let him know that, depending on what the board thinks, that if it's not amplified music, we should clarify that. Just so there's no question, and if the board thinks amplified, fine, that's up to the board, but I think we should be clear to the gentleman so that doesn't cause any problems with him in the future.
This is the 3rd year in a row that this business owner has come here asking for special events, and each year we've asked him to go and get his site plan updated to include entertainment, and that still hasn't happened.
Well, we haven't heard back from the building department, so until that happens, I don't know that we can even act on it. We don't have a report from Robin, what she was told, or why is it going to the planning board? I don't know, it's not at the planning board.
And do we usually, I don't know, because I haven't, but do we usually have it looked at by the police or anything first?
Yeah,
Yes,
they do.
they all
We
have
do.
to sign off.
Yes.
There is, there's a note here, there are notes here from both Joel Johnson and Graham Peller.
Okay, cool.
Want me to read them?
No, you don't need to read them, it's part of the record.
Okay. I'm going to repeat what I repeat every year when this comes up, and that is that I don't think that this should be coming through the select board for a special event permit. I believe that it should be part of the site plan approval, and as you said, each year the applicant is told that, and it never happens. So I won't be signing anything with regard to this for myself anyway, until the site plan is modified to include this. So that's where I stand on it. But, yeah, Peter.
Doesn't the town have a requirement for any special permit that has to be authorized by the Board of Selectmen?
Yes.
Not just this place, but any place?
Yeah, special events licenses come through this board.
And isn't that what that is?
Yeah, but my contention is that if you're doing regular events year after year after year, multiples of them, that isn't a special event. Special event to me is a one-time deal or maybe a couple of times for, but when it's repetitive time after time, I think it's part of their business plan and it should be part of the site plan. So that's just me.
I don't agree with that. However, I think that the planning board had already addressed this with this particular business owner, with the idea that if you want special events, you have to go to the Board of Selectmen. I think at this point, it's up to the Board of Selectmen to decide whether or not this meets what they think their requirement is for special events, or whether it's above and beyond that. In which case, maybe you just say, you only can have 3 dates. Pick which ones you want, but we're not giving you 6. But I think that's part of the Board of Selectmen's responsibility.
Well, in fairness to Mr. Pagliarulo, he's only asking for 5 dates this year, as opposed to the dozen he's asked the last 2 years. So from that perspective, he has modified his request. We don't know what was told by the land use administrator. So in the first May date is coming up.
So I'm pleading ignorance here. What does it entail to go and get your site plan reviewed and updated? What's the cost? What's the time frame? I feel like there's a huge reluctance on this business owner to do that.
And there has been a big reluctance because he's gone around the Mayberry bush many times. Now, I'm not saying he's not one of Mr. Coombs' frequent flyers in the past, but he's got a record, if you will. So but the last couple of years, he's done everything we've asked him to do, except for this one thing here.
Except for going to the planning board.
Well, we don't know what was said to Mrs. Carter. We know you went to see her, but we don't have any results of that conversation.
I think it was mentioned last meeting that maybe to issue maybe 2 events just to get them going. But if he wants any more, he's got to go make an appointment with the planning board for a site review that Glenn had talked about, just because of the time frame that of May. I think is the first one.
May 20th.
May 20th is the first one, and I don't think he's going to be able to get in front of that board by May 20th. Plus have be able to hire a contract people to be at his facility. So
I think Susan has an update. Yeah, all I wanted to say was I asked Robin about it. She said he did sit down with her. They talked about what he would need to do, what he wouldn't need to do. It would entail the whole process to be at the meeting to notify abutters. But she said she hasn't gotten an actual.
It would entail notification?
It would.
Well, yes.
Well, not necessarily, I don't know that.
This is what she told him. So they had a nice discussion, but she said she has not gotten an actual application. That's where it stands.
So you're saying that she provided him with what he needed to know to come back to the planning board?
Yes. They did come in and sit down with her, but she doesn't have an application as of Friday.
Okay. All right. Okay, what's the board's pleasure? So, I was hearing a recommendation from Peter on doing a couple of dates. As I said, I'm not going to be signing this in any case, so it's up to the rest of you how you want to deal with this.
Well, I'd be in favor of at least going for the first 2 dates and give him time to go to the planning board.
That would be May 20 and July 15.
keep in mind, we do have an ordinance, so if that first event, he runs into an issue, we'll be in contact with Joel, obviously the chief, and that second event can be suspended on our recommendation if there's a problem with the first one. Just, we do have leverage with the gentleman, it's just not.
Yep.
And I think it should be clear that it's acoustic, not amplified music.
Yeah, but that's not what he's,
It's not in there at all.
it's not in here.
But that's why I think if we're going to sign a permit, I think we need to make it clear that it's not, he hasn't done anything to show that it should be amplified. He's showing that there's been no complaints, which is great, but there's been no complaints with acoustic music, not with amplified music, and that was the issue when it was before the planning board and since then.
I'll move that we approve the May and July date for acoustic music only.
Okay, so to be clear, the request is for a fundraiser event at Saddle Up Saloon with approximately 250 participants, and you're adding the condition that it be acoustic music
Right.
only.
Okay. And we said, I said the two dates.
Yeah, May 20 and July 15.
That should give them ample time to get.
What's the date what's the next one after the July date?
August 19. And I'm assuming this is with the understanding that he continued the process, getting his site plan modified at planning board.
Right.
So there's a motion to that effect by Ellie.
I'll second.
Second by Peter. Further discussion.
Further discussion is that we have an ordinance that says, or whatever, that he can come in and ask for a special event permit, which he doesn't have to go to the planning board to do. It just means that the board may then decide after that point, you know, 2 fundraising events are enough this year, or whatever. He would probably have to come talk to the board again, but he doesn't have to go to the planning board if he doesn't want to. It just, we may then not approve any further special events for the rest of the year. So you can't make somebody go to the planning board.
No, you can't,
That's
so.
all I'm trying to clarify, that we can't make it go.
Well, then we should, I'm not gonna ask him to fill out another application with more fees. Why don't we just approve the 5 dates with a stipulation that it's acoustic?
No, I'm good with the 2, and then we'll see. Well, the
Okay.
gentleman may go to the planning board. I'm just saying that if he chooses not to, we can't make him go.
Okay,
That's
you're
all.
right, we can't make him go.
That's all I want to say.
Any further discussion? All right, so the motion is for approval of the May 20 and July 15 dates on the special event permit request.
Correct.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Would you raise your hands, please?
I think he can have them.
Okay, 3 in favor, opposed, say, raise their hands. 2 opposed. Motion carries, 3 in favor, 2 opposed, and no abstentions. So, okay.
Now, do we put something on that permit and write in acoustic music only? So that way when he gets the permit, it says that right on it?
Okay, these are your notes, Susan, so you're,
These, write it on there, but when we do these, I make up an actual license and I'll put the conditions on there.
Okay, great,
Okay.
thank you.
so I'm writing on here, there's an asterisk at the bottom, acoustic music only. And only these 2 dates, so I'll circle May 20 and July 15 and scratch the other 3. Okay, so this will come back to us, Susan, for signatures once you've
Yes.
done it up, okay. I'm gonna put it back in the orange folder? All right. The contract with Cruderi Associates for the supplemental site investigation, you probably remember that we had 3 bids? We had 4, but only 3 were valid because one was missing the pricing page. And we had the 3 bids professionally reviewed by our hydrogeologic consultant, Dana Truslow, and she said that they were all qualified and all could do the job, and therefore recommended to us the lowest priced bid, which was Cruderi Associates. And
We do not have the contract back from the attorney. So I was hoping for today, because I think they plan to get started Friday, so I'll have to
Okay,
see what
so, I believe Susan told me, correct me if I'm wrong, that Crederi provided us with a template of their contract, which we're having our council review, and that's where we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a copy here, but it's got to be reviewed.
Okay. All right, following up on the quarry issue, the Torromeo quarry. There are packets, further information in our packets that Susan has provided. And Susan, I don't know if you want to intro this for us, but you did some research into the history of this.
Well, last time you were looking for the letter that actually went to them about the trees. And I found this whole file. There was a lot of back and forth in 2020. So you have that in front of you now just to review what the attorney said at the time. Basically, it is 50 feet for the distance to the property line. Not that we started out with 150 and 250 and trying to go by our ordinance. We're going by state law. And the letter did go out. They were supposed to give us a plan. I don't believe we ever got an actual plan. I just wanted you to be aware of all the different conversation that took place, and now you have to decide if you want to pursue that further.
Well, we probably need to work with Pedro on this, because it's now an enforcement. He needs to buffer that area in the back.
I just, last meeting, we decided that I was gonna talk to Pedro about this.
Yeah.
We did sit down, we did go over a bunch of this paperwork together, but as a request of the couple that was here at that meeting, nothing was gonna happen this week, because they're on school vacation. So they're gonna schedule, and he will go down, and he has this information, he's gonna go down and talk to Torromeo, and he will be in contact with that couple. I apologize, their name and address, but they said this.
Tagliaris.
They said that this week was not good, because it's vacation. So he will be in touch with them.
Okay, so Pedro will be following up with this, as per our discussion last week?
Correct.
And does he have all this new information, Susan?
He has most of it, but I'll make sure he's got it.
All right, he needs to make sure he's got everything.
Yes.
And we should put this then back on our agenda for, well, probably not next week, because he won't have had time to look at it, but we'll reschedule this for more discussion on
12th.
May 12th. Okay. Okay, under new business, the draft RFQ for the solid waste contract, that is in the packets. Say what? Okay. Was there something you wanted to present to us, or you just for responding to questions?
I drafted this
You-
with Tom's help and with others' help.
Okay.
It's not really, this is completed. I left draft on it just so that we didn't think it was final.
Okay.
So the dates on this was to go out on the 15th of May?
Yes. The timeline is very important because a lot of the companies need 18 months to 2 years to make sure that once they, we accept them or whatever, that they have time to order additional vehicles, or if they have to, get additional things, it takes time, just as like our fire truck and everything like that.
So just to remind everyone, our current contract ends at the end of 2027.
Yes.
So a new contract would start January 1 of '28.
Yes.
Yes. So whoever we select would need to be ready to go on that July 1 date.
January 1st.
January 1st.
2028.
Oh, what did I say?
July.
Sorry, January.
So if we have this all completed and the timeline shows it by the end of December, then this December, then it gives them that time, whoever we pick, to make sure they have enough vehicles, make sure they have enough supplies, bins, all that stuff.
I mean, I know everyone's going to want to weigh in on this, and we should. I mean, my first concern was that a 2-year advance date is way more than we probably need, and I'm just wondering how accurate a bid we're going to be able to get from a vendor, given materials costs, labor costs, 2 years out.
I'd like to respond to that.
Yep, it's on.
Yep. It seems like it's a long way off, but it's not that far off. If we get, assuming that we get out by June 1st, even if, and we get the first quotes, an idea what's happening within the first 6 weeks, let's say, the idea is to sit down with the proposed contractors, have them weigh in at questions, and ask for numbers and other things additional to this here. Then once we do that and agree to whatever those conditions may be, it still has to go back to the attorney, still has to be reposted and rebid on as a more formal contract. We may not get that all done until the end of this year and may not award it till next year. There will be a contract, an item in the contract that would, that it meets the requirements of the RSAs regarding sending it out to the voters, so that if the voters cut the budget, we have an option to address the concerns that way. But you're right about, they have to come up with a way to, they being the vendors, anticipate the cost. And that is a challenge. But when I got onto this board in May of 2020, it was hell to pay because literally Waste Management had a gun to our heads. It was the beginning of we were getting into the contract, we hadn't finalized it, we hadn't even got it back from the attorney, and they wrote the contract that suit them, so that they didn't lose a penny on Kingston, and they're still not losing a penny. And I really am very concerned that if we don't at least get the contract awarded by this time next year, that gives them 18 months, and again, ideal circumstances. I don't know what other glitches might come to play, but I don't want to see another vendor holding us hostage to disposing of our waste. And there's no reason, if we can be assured of the types of cost clauses, and I do understand that aspect, given current insecurities of pricing. That's another piece of it that kind of adds to the anxiety. But they're going to be facing that same type of thing too. So we're going to have to work together with the prospective vendor or vendors to make it work. Because we're all going to be in that same boat in terms of the cost. And it's not going to go down.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with doing it ahead of time. My concern is that we need the bids by August 18th, but we're not going to give them the proposed award date is until December 15th. That might make them a little nervous based on some of the changes in pricing. I'm just saying maybe the award date could come a little later for us to do it by December 15th.
And it may be, because we still have to meet with attorneys in the interim.
There's a whole bunch of, I get the dates, but I thought, telling them that they have to give it to us by August, but we're not going to award it till December, might
be
put
too,
some of them off a little bit.
Yeah. Because that contractors meeting is going to be critical.
So I'm just, that's the only date I think it's like, maybe that's a little too far afield from each other. I understand trying to get it earlier because then they have to purchase things and all that kind of stuff.
They have to equip the trucks, they have to get the computer system in the trucks that monitors all that's going on.
So I want to recognize that one of our board members is the liaison to the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee, and want to make sure that you have a chance to.
I think the first thing I want to bring up is that we approved a contract review and approval policy in August of '23 that says, and I think it's in your packet, section 5.1 says the requirements for competitive bids per our purchasing policy, the contract terms and conditions must be reviewed by the following prior to approval. And that includes the committee chair or the board chair. And this was not provided to the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee for review. In February 13th of this year, the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee voted and approved dates for when an RFQ would go out, which is commensurate with what Chuck Margosian last provided to us, because he'd been working this diligently, where the out for bid and approval wouldn't happen until June or July of next year. Because I met with one of the probable bidders, and the chair of the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee met with another one, and they told us 18 months. They didn't tell us 2 years. They said they didn't want to bid on something that far out for the reason that Glenn talked about, where they're going to make sure that their costs reflect that they don't come up short, and they cannot anticipate 2.5 years out of what a cost would be. So we have talked about this several times. So I have a couple of problems with that the committee wasn't involved in this at all, that the committee actually voted on timeframes and it was disregarded, and that we're just going by 2.5 years out, 2 years out, when probable bidders said they don't want it that far out. So I have a problem with this, the way this whole thing was done. When I wasn't notified, the committee wasn't notified that other people were working on this RFQ to go on the street. So we're not following our own process, which is a problem. So if we need to correct that process, we should do that. But until we do, this is our policy.
Well, this RFQ is really by the director. It is not by the committee. That committee is for advisory purposes. It's not to make an RFQ.
It wasn't to make an RFQ,
No,
but
it's not.
there's two members, prior members of this committee, who really wanted to make sure, because of what Ellie talked about the last time that we did a contract, the committee was formed to help defray costs from that horrible contract that we signed. And this committee, the committee is chartered with finding ways to reduce costs, so they should be involved, and we signed a policy. So whether we agree with it or not, we still have a policy.
But the policy is that if it's for the committee, it's not for the committee, it's for the department
When
head.
contract impacts execution of committee purpose or charter. So yes, we
But that
had.
committee is an advisory
I'm not gonna argue this
to
point.
the director.
The director was part of the meeting when we voted on the timeframe. The director was there.
Can we just accept the fact that currently we have two different possibilities of timeframes based on different things? And is there any way that potential contractors or people who do this can, because it talks about us having a mandatory conference with anybody who may want to bid, could we do that ahead of time to try and find out from the people in the room what they actually do need for a time frame? Because 2 years sounds reasonable, but if 1.5 is really what they want because they don't want to put in a bid and then wind up costs get so crazy in 6 months, is there any way we can just actually find out from the people who are going to be bidding what they need?
I think that's a good idea. And my guess is that we probably wouldn't be awarding bids till this time next year. So and that gives us 1.5 years. So it's not like it's drawn out that much more.
You have, this says putting out an RFQ
I
for
understand,
next month.
and that's not to say we can't change the dates, Lori. We wanted to, but I like Ellen's idea of inviting the potential bidders to meet with us before we even put out the RFQ.
Well, so that's why we put on here that we put it out, they come, because they have to see the RFQ, they have to see what they're going to ask questions for. And then we have a conference with them so that they can come here and ask the questions.
But maybe we take.
But they don't have to respond to the bid yet.
No, but maybe we take the other dates out. We put out the RFQ, so we know we want to meet with them, they know we want to meet with them, but we take out that you have to have it by August 18th and December 15th. Maybe we amend the RFQ after meeting with them to put those dates in and get a better idea of what the people who are actually going to be doing the work tell us what they need. I just don't know if that's, I don't know enough about RFQs to know if that's a possibility.
It's almost like you're suggesting possibly an even earlier step, like an RFI, a request for information.
Yes.
Okay.
Where you're trying to gather a lot of stuff before you put everything into the final RFP or Q, whatever it is.
And that'll give us all a better idea of the dates that the people who are going to be doing the work and bidding actually are wanting the town to provide for them. Whether if they need 2 years, okay, we'll do our best. If you need 1.5, okay, but.
My only concern with just reaching out to possible vendors and asking them to come in is that you're almost at that point sort of cherry picking, and as opposed to that's the purpose of an open process is to put requests out and those who respond.
Sorry, you'd still have the RFQ would go out at a different time, which would not eliminate anybody from participating in it. We just got some information from, I mean, if only one person shows up, that kind of wrecks the whole thought, but.
So we've already met with 2 potential bidders, so how many times do we want to meet with potential bidders?
I don't know, I haven't met with any of them.
Okay, but what I'm saying is a lot of that due diligence has been done, and it's completely was disregarded.
Well, I think there's 4 or 5 bidders that are potential bidders for this proposal that could be sent to them directly, as well as posting it in the Union Leader or wherever else we do, a little bit broader search, because solid waste, that's the biggest expense other than schools in our budget. And more information is not a bad thing, and if we could do that this summer's fine. But regardless of whether the Solid Waste Committee likes it or not, we need to move forward.
I understand that. My problem is the way that this was done. The process that we have in place was completely circumvented. We have liaisons, we have a committee, we have a chair. Nobody of that was involved in this right here. And what was provided to us was not these dates, by somebody that was actually working this and had contact with all the potential bidders. So it was completely circumvented, and that's the part that I really hold exception to. So if we're gonna have conversations, and we absolutely should, then let's have open, honest conversations instead of, backdooring it. That's what I would appreciate.
More honest numbers from the collection center.
No, let's not.
We're not gonna, I don't want to fight with you, Laurie.
I don't want to fight either, Ellie, so let's do this the right way.
Well, the right way, well.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say. But there may be people in the audience that would like to address this issue.
And again, when I ask for more information, it's not to disrespect any information that another group has already gotten. I'm not aware of a lot of things people have done for the past year, so I just thought more information never.
I don't disagree, and that was my whole point. A lot of the information has been done and it was disregarded, and that was not talked about either.
All right. I mean, Ellie, you just opened up the possibility of asking others to join in, and I'm not sure that I want to make this a free-for-all, because it's not.
I'm not looking for a free-for-all. There may be other comments. Right. And public comment is coming up, right?
Public comment's coming up, so we could do it then.
Okay.
But I will give the floor to Tom if he wishes to weigh in on any of this at this point. Okay. Look.
I know we're going to ask more information about this, and I appreciate everything everybody else has done, but forgive me, because I'm coming in new. But I understand the board's desire to control expenses. What I don't understand is why, if we're putting out either an RFQ, an RFP, an RFI, whatever RF we're putting out, why we can't also find out what the cost would be for curbside recycling, and then people can decide, then you have an actual number to tell people, we're not doing it because it costs this much, or, hey, we'll put in a warrant article, if you want to pay for curbside recycling, you've got to vote for it. We're not putting it in the budget because we think it's too much. But without having an exact number, what are you even telling people you're really saving them if you haven't put out the information to find out how much it would cost?
What we do know now is that recycling costs us about $50 more per ton than regular trash.
I understand that.
Right, that's in the current contract.
Right, based on the current contract, we have good numbers.
Right. But that's why I'm saying, just put out the information for it. Ask for the RFQ. If you don't, that way you can tell people it's going to cost, with the new contract, it's going to cost this much money. And, you know, you might have some people say, great, we'll put in a warrant article for it. And we'll see if the town wants it or doesn't want it.
So the contract does not go to the public. I mean, we sign it, right?
Right.
Okay.
So
So,
I'm just saying that if we as a board
Right.
decide we do not want to put in the budget for curbside recycling.
Right.
It doesn't mean somebody else can't put it in as a warrant article.
sure.
That's all I'm saying, and that way they know how much it would cost. It's absolutely then up to the town to decide what they do or do not want. But everybody would know what you're talking about.
Right, the one number we don't know, what would it cost to have private curbside recycling?
And that would be, but I mean, if we're putting out one thing, you could put out the additional thing, or just add on, and what would it cost if you also did curbside recycling? I'm just saying, you get multiple numbers, and then decide what you want to do or not do.
I think the board voted, I don't know, months ago, that we were gonna do away, I think we voted that we were gonna do away with curbside recycling with the next contract. We did already agree with that.
Right.
Because the cost is, it's just prohibitive, it's just, it's,
You don't know what it is.
but we do, because we know what it is now. We know what it is now. It's not gonna get cheaper.
You don't know what it's going to be because it's a different company.
Okay.
But the other thing that's really unknown is what we get reimbursed for recycling, and other than cardboard, we don't. It really goes into the general waste stream, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, unfortunately, most of what goes into our recycling bin goes to the landfill, but be that as
I don't know that that's, I don't think most of it does, but that's a whole nother discussion.
it is. Okay. Where are we on this then?
Public comment. Or maybe, I don't know,
Well-
where are we? What are we doing?
We haven't decided what we're doing with this.
Right. I mean, we need to decide what we're going to do with this. Is the board of a mind to?
How about the committee that they keep talking about? There's trash, solid
waste and recycling
Correct.
committee, yeah.
Why don't they talk about this, look at it, and come back with their suggestions?
Well, and that's really the way it's supposed to work,
Okay.
is that the committee is supposed to be bringing a recommendation to the select board. That's how I understand it.
Correct.
It's much like what happens with some of the energy stuff. It's dealt with at the energy committee, and a recommendation comes to the select board. It's how that stuff tends to.
I don't know anything about the trash business, the trucks, or anything else, or totes and everything else, but I'm on board with trying to get this done earlier than later, and not waiting for the last minute.
Sure.
And I think these companies, let them review this. Companies can come in for questions and answers. As Ellen pointed out, we can get some answers done, and that will give us enough time to dial that into where we have to be. I don't want to wait till the last minute myself. These people do this for a living, they can project costs. They know what, they've been doing this for a long time. So I'm just afraid that how things get delayed, whether it's coming, we get weather, whatever, somebody gets sick, attorneys can't make it, back and forth, and all of a sudden it just keeps getting kicked, then all of a sudden now we're too late. So I would like to get our questions answered and then get moving forward and have the committee review this and get back to us on their thoughts and suggestions.
Are you also suggesting that the Solid Waste Committee gather this initial information from potential vendors, or do you want that done here?
I think it would be good, as Ellen would said, in case we all have different questions, we can ask, right? Have them come in and talk to us.
I think what we're asking for is a meeting, a contractors meeting before the even RFQ goes out.
Correct. And to get the committee's input on this.
What happens if we don't get anybody in? Because I'm told you, I mean, we met with 2 companies and we went to them. So,
So only 2 companies want to bid on this now?
when we did our initial, and I say we, meaning a couple members of the committee at the time reached out, and we didn't get a lot of response.
Okay.
So we met with the 2 companies, not Waste Management notwithstanding, because they're a current provider. They were willing to meet with us. The other companies, either they weren't doing it or they just never replied. So we met with the ones who were willing to sit down and talk with us. So we can try it again, but I don't know how, you know.
I think I'd like the board to meet with these contractors, not just your.
Sure, we'll see how willing they are to come to Kingston.
Could you get the minutes of the discussions?
There was, it wasn't,
Oh, okay.
it was,
thought
it
that
was,
would help.
I went with Mark and Chuck, meeting with one, and Phil went with Mark and Chuck, meeting with another company.
Okay.
So we all took our own notes, but it wasn't an official
My
meeting.
misunderstanding.
So they could certainly be invited in to chat.
Of course.
All right, so at this point, are we sort of handing it to the committee to work on this, review the contract, come back to us with a recommendation, and possible invites to talk with the board?
Sure.
Second.
We'll put it on the agenda for our next meeting, and
Which is when?
I don't know.
I have a hard time finding your notes, never mind your agendas.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I don't know when the next meeting is, whenever the second week of the month, Thursday, 6:30, so whatever date that is.
Okay.
So Susan, if you could confirm the date and then put them on the next selectmen's agenda, so we can keep track
You're
of
talking about
that.
the contractors to come to the next?
No, just
No.
whatever, just whatever the solid waste task force, is that what you're?
Solid Waste Recycling Committee.
Get their recommendations back for us, or at least, let's not lose track of it, that's all I'm saying. And then we'll figure out whether we need an RFI, just put out an RFQ, whatever else we do.
Okay, so, I guess that was a motion and a second, wasn't it? Or was it?
Is it a motion? Are you making a motion?
Is it a motion or is your motion, Peter, or is it you?
Well, I verbalized it and Peter seconded.
There you go, makes it easy.
Okay,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, it's unanimous. So we'll wait to hear back from the committee next.
Yep.
Okay. Look at this, all the smiling faces, and it's time for public comment number 2. Chuck, up. I'm sorry. Sorry, Rick, I was pointing to Chuck and I.
Of course, they'll want to set the record.
Stop. Put it in front of you and make sure it's green.
Got me?
Is it green?
It's green.
All right, you're good.
Okay. I want to set the record straight.
Name and address, Chuck.
Pardon me?
Give your name and address.
State your name, please, and
Yes,
address.
Chuck Margosian, White Drive. The Solid Waste Recycling Committee did have advance notice and chance to interact with this RFP when I was a member. It did not. And that's one of the reasons I pursued this, is because the charter of the group, as I remember why I joined, was to ensure that the next time that a contract came up for waste disposal, in the town, that we would not be in a default situation, and we'd be able to give a competitive environment so the town can choose from a financial position rather than a forced position. So that's one of the reasons that I joined. There was no, I didn't see a plan to address this. We did issues, we volunteered, we did a lot of good things, but I did not see a plan to ensure that the next time that we were getting ready to do a contract, we would not be in the same situation as we currently are with waste management. Okay, so because of my background, I took the initiative to put together the RFQ as you see it. Okay, the intent was to give the town the ability to put its requirements forward for what it wanted from a vendor and to get a competitive bid so the town could evaluate delivery and price so that the residents would get the best option for handling its waste removal. I don't think anybody would disagree with that, but this was a step to do that. I don't see any other plan on the table to handle this. Is it there? Okay. I'm not saying the RFQ is perfect. It was designed to get potential contractors who we talked to. It was designed to get them to come in. We're going to present our druthers, the things that we want, and that's what you'll see in all the requirements. By having the bidders conference, have the potential contractors come in and say, we can do this, we can't do that, we modify it. Here's what we see the market changing, so it's going to impact your RFQ. That's their chance to interact with us. We go back, we take their input, and we modify the RFQ to address those issues so that it's sustainable. Then we reissue with their comments or things that the town has decided to adopt that they have suggested, or the restrictions they have put in that we weren't aware of that are not doable. We need to understand that. And then we put out the final version of that RFQ. And now everybody's on the same playing field. That was the objective. There's two major variables here. One is the delivery of capital equipment by the vendors. And we talked to the vendors, and conditions 12 to 18 months. No COVID, no tariff issues, no component issues, everything is hunky-dory. So it's 12 to 18 months. That's the consensus of three vendors, I'm sorry. That's the consensus, 12 to 18 months. That's one variable. The second variable is the things that we don't know that are in our RFQ, things we've asked the contractors to do and to deliver. We don't know what that is. The only way we're going to find that out is to have them come in together and, having looked at the requirements that we have, comment on it. We can do A, B, C, and D. F is maybe not something that we want to do. We need to understand that so we don't build something that is not doable. We want when they give us a price, we want it to be a good price. We want it to be something that's going to hold. That's the intent. So those are the major issues there. So the bidders conference, the contractors conference is really imperative to get that feedback. We don't know what's out there. We've given them what we want. Have them come back and comment on it. We can do this, and therefore we know we give you a pricing. We know it's going to be good. If you go to page 4 the bottom page, paragraph 14A. What that says is that once the contract is issued, is that that the vendor is now held responsible for completing that delivery of that contract. So if there are changes in price or whatever, that paragraph is.
Okay. Can I clarify something? You said that at one point you were part of the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee. And you chose not to do this contract piece while you were with the committee, but after you separated from the committee?
No, that's not so.
Okay.
I want to input to this. Is this something? This wasn't because I wanted to be the rodeo captain. No, this was, we have nothing else. What do we got? We got to start somewhere. So it was the intent that this would be a collaborative effort.
Right.
It didn't go that way. So therefore, you know, it was on the white horse, so to speak. Well, that doesn't mean that it's not open. It was always open. If anybody that had drafts wanted to input to it, it was open. Nobody did.
I want to clarify that. Yes, I mean, we did not, what I'm holding a contention with is the dates, not the content of the RFQ. This is great work, and we did not discuss it as a committee when it was provided a couple of different times. For whatever reason, but we had issue with the dates of this one that was just provided to us. Because your latest one, I mean, you and Mark did the lion's share of this, and I'm looking at this packet that was provided to all of us in December, I think, and it had your full packet. And it has a spreadsheet of who you contacted and your responses, and you adjusted your timeline according to those responses. And so what I hold issue with is not the content of the RFQ, because I appreciate you putting that together, is the time frame, because it's two different things. So the last time you provided something, it was 18 months, and then we see this RFQ with the dates that are completely disregarding this. And that's what the board has not seen. So the board has seen the RFQ, the board has not seen these new dates that are just presented to us now, because the board voted on dates according to line up with what you have provided. And that was disregarded, not the content of the RFQ. So I want to be clear about that.
Okay. What's changed in the time frame is, and you're right, that latest time frame, the dates that you see on there is more recent. But it's also because, you know, a lot of time has gone by since then and nothing has happened. So therefore, these events that didn't happen are now getting compressed, so the dates are changing as we get closer to the delivery dates of what has to happen. So those dates have become compressed, and that's what you see reflected in the new schedule of events. Again, the award date, the town has the ability to do that when it wants to do that. We have a suggested date, but it's not hard and fast. So, but it's the development time for us to take all of those comments and things that are variables that we don't really know that's there and put it together so that it's cohesive and it's doable for the contractors.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you for the clarification. Are there any comments or questions for Mr. Margovian?
No.
So we're passing it back to the committee at this point, and we'll be getting information back from them and moving forward with this.
And so the objective of the committee is to do what?
We were to review the draft that, and to provide us comments on that if they have them.
Including the dates that was already voted on.
Okay, I don't support the initial statements made that there's a lot of time, 2 years is too often. It's not. How long does it take to order a pumper truck? In terms, that's a piece of equipment. We're talking fairly sophisticated electronics equipment for these trucks. So there is a lot of time that we don't understand. Why take the chance? What's the advantage of taking the chance? Pricing, the vendors are gonna do, they're gonna hedge and do what they need to do anyway. Protect themselves, no matter what the data we put in here. So I ask you, what is the advantage of pushing this right up to the limit and taking a chance?
At this point, I don't think the board's decided that. I think at this point, the board's decided to, as a committee, look at it, give us a recommendation. We have your recommendation, we'll have their recommendation. Hopefully we'll have some more information from some of the vendors. We may completely agree with the December 31st date. We haven't said we don't yet. We're just saying we're gonna wait until next month and hear from them. It means we won't have anything out by May 15th necessarily, but it doesn't mean it will be much past that. It depends on the information we get back from that particular group too.
Well, okay, the hope is, I shouldn't say the hope. The objective is not to be in a situation where we get that letter from Casella, as we did 2.5 years ago. It says because of the lateness of our solicitation to them, that it's going to cost the town $9,500 a month extra for 2 trucks because they didn't have time to order it. Okay.
We were so rushed at the time to get a contract signed because we were past that, we were approaching deadlines, and we had to act. And in fairness, Kevin St. James made a real concerted effort to get other companies like Casella's to come in and bid, and it was too late because they could not have gotten the equipment necessary to have bid on the contract to have a chance to get it awarded.
I do think we all take your point about not putting this off so that we can achieve the goals you talk about.
Yeah, I see no disadvantage to having vendors come in for a preliminary conference once they've seen what this town wants to get from them, and taking what they suggest and then building out from that, and then keeping in mind the importance of the delivery dates. I see no disadvantage for the town in doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask for public comment from anyone on the topic of the solid waste issue so that we keep the germane stuff together.
Morning.
Morning.
Just a couple things.
Name?
Phil Coombs, Little River Road.
Thank you.
Also chair of the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee. So just to clarify, there are 4 vendors who can handle a contract of this size, and this is what the committee went in and researched. There may be a potential 5th one out there, but of those 4, there were 3 that returned calls to us, one being our current contractor. I spoke to 2 of them. I was not present for one of the meetings, but 12 to 14 months is what they said. On the high side, 18. The downside of going out too early is there's a lot of assumptions that they're going to have to make that is going to be in their favor. And so we don't know what the economic conditions are, and they don't either. With regards to the trucks, Waste Management has stated already, and they did it at the beginning of our contract, they have a leasing company that they can get trucks from, no problem. Our contract actually started with those trucks because they were short. We were starting a toter program. The trucks they had for us previously wouldn't have worked. They had a lease for that. Waste Innovations also stated the same thing. I would strongly support the board having all of the vendors in here so we're not relying on other people's interpretations of what a vendor had said. It would be great if you could get all 3 of them in here and get their take on it. But with regards to there being no plan, On the February meeting for the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee, the following timeline was laid out. December of 2025 was all of the data collection completed and presented to the select board on the collection center. Because this isn't just happening in a vacuum. We need to decide whether we are going to do recycling. I know the board took a vote on that. But if the collection center does not have the data that the board feels makes that a sustainable option, then you need to do what's economically and politically the right choice. And so why we wanted to wait till December is we would have 2 years of data to present to the board and known costs, known improvements, all of those things, so the board could make the smart choice on whether we actually do want to drop curbside recycling or we just stick with what we're doing. From that, March 2026 was the final contract for review, and June of 2026, the RFQ would go out to bid. So that would put us 18 months prior to the contract start date in alignment with what we had met with the vendors and they had told us. So that is where those dates came from. I understand that people want to jump on this because we were in a bad situation previously. That's part of the reason the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee was brought back, is because you guys have a lot on your plate. You can't handle everything, and it was an error that just basically put us in a situation where it was 6 months before the contract was up, and we were trying to make it happen. So the point of the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee was to kind of look into this, do the legwork, and find these things out, and bring the options before the board. So that is the plan right now. That is what the Solid Waste Committee came up with, and I understand there are dissenting views on that, but that's what the committee voted on, and we, by virtue of that, recommend that to the select board. Again, there is a collection center aspect of this, and we'd like to get all the data that we can get to you so you can make an informed decision on whether that's the path you want to take moving forward, because that is going to affect what contract we put out to bid. So again, I just wanted to say that it would be great if you could get 3, even the 4th vendor, if they'll return your call, to come in here and tell you exactly what they would like to see. But that's the information that we got. It's 12 to 14 months, 18 on the high side, because they don't want to get in a situation where they're just making numbers up. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Phil. Anything else on the solid waste issue? Please.
Mark Goddard, Ball Road. I support everything that Chuck said, and I will make one correction. I was at the meetings where Casella and Waste Innovations spoke. Everything that Chuck said was absolutely accurate. Regarding the 18 months and the acquisition and delivery of the vehicles, plus an operator to make sure that they had everything ready, and the totes, if it's not waste management again. When 18 months was presented, the representative said under ideal conditions. 2 years would be much more favorable because trucks take time and all of the equipment to put in them takes time to get. Given the current situation with tariffs and whatnot, who knows what it's going to be. Sooner is absolutely better than later. Later, you're giving up the only resource that you have where you can maneuver, which is time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Anything else on solid waste before we get off that topic? Okay, public comment on anything else? Rick?
Rick Rushman, Beach Drive. I wanted to comment on the architecture tech people that were here. I thought that was about as Bush League presentation, and I'm being charitable to the Bushes, really, or actually I'm being, in terms of the presentation, that was really unprofessional. I think that when I look back, the firehouse that they designed was supposed to be super energy efficient. It's one of the worst energy hogs in town compared to almost any other building. The stairs here aren't going quite the way they probably should be going. And I realize we're kind of already in bed with the architects, and they did the firehouse, and they've been here. But, I mean, I hope that you guys ask them if they come here again to make another presentation, that they're prepared, they're professional. They should send you that stuff in advance so that you could look at it and not just come out here with it. You're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work here. And that kind of a presentation, to me, deserves maybe the screen coming down with a slideshow or something like that, and copies for all you people in advance. And so, I mean, you have better stuff at the planning board and the ZBA, people coming before us for a little variance or something than what we saw here this morning. So if that's indicative of how and there are lots of architects out there, so I just would urge you that if you're going to want to stay with these folks, that you have a right to demand a little more professionalism in how they make a presentation to the town. The town deserves better. So that's all I was saying.
Thank you, Rick. Any other public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment, continue on to board business. We have 2 policy documents to review, one regarding participation in board meetings and the other sale of town-owned land. Which folder are they in?
You should have it in your packet.
In the packet. There they are. Oh, I have the public participation one.
Town-owned land was not in question, right?
That one was not really in question, but I thought I did copy it.
You did, I just, it's in here somewhere.
I have one here.
Yeah.
I don't see it in my package.
Well, if I skipped that,
For
I can go make
the one for town-owned land, do you folks have that in your packets?
The policy?
Yeah, the policy.
Yeah.
It would look like, it looks like this.
Oh, it's a one-pager.
It's a one-pager.
Yeah, I have
Maybe I skipped over it.
Did you have it in yours?
I did. I think. Or maybe those were my own notes.
You probably had it from another time, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna make more copies.
Oh, it wasn't recopied for this?
Oh, I think the thing, I think the thing we were gonna check on were these timelines per RSA.
Yes, I remember you saying that,
Right.
and they are, really, that I picked all the timeframes out of the RSA.
Right, that was the only thing that we needed to verify.
We can verify that for next time if you want. Do you want another copy of this, or do you want to just concentrate on the other one for now?
Well, are there, I mean,
I thought I put it in there, but maybe I did not.
well, I didn't see it in my packet, although I've shuffled things around so much at this point that,
I know, I think it's shuffled around.
And like Lori said, what you wanted to do was verify that the timeline was per RSA, and my recollection is that's where I got those timeframes from, but I did not confirm that for you, so. if
all
you
right,
want to
let's
set
get that
aside.
confirmed
I'll take that action.
before we take a vote on it.
Yep, I'll take that action.
So that's the one on town-owned land. We'll
Yeah.
table that one until we verify dates. How about the participation at board meetings? Now this, correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, this was taken from the document that was created by the select board back in 2019?
Yes.
Yeah, it was reformatted
Yep.
to meet the same.
Right.
Yep.
But content is the same.
Content has not changed. This is what was approved in 2019.
Well, we did change that one part, because there was confusion about the first and second. No.
This is, no,
It
we didn't change it.
Oh,
This is as written in 2019.
But we should change it, and I don't like 5 minutes in one and 3 minutes in the other.
Right.
If anything, I would reverse it unless there was something really new. And number 2, I think they should be able to talk in any item, whether it is on the agenda, because I've seen the pushback at school district meetings, school board meetings, and they only allow people to talk on the agenda. It's not right. They have to have an opportunity.
I agree. I love that people can come in here, and that's what we're for. They can talk about whatever. So both should be 5 minutes. Is that what we're saying?
would
If
do
we're
5
gonna
minutes.
enforce it. if we're going to enforce it.
Right, it's up to the chair to enforce it, depending how many people, you know,
Right.
Yep.
cast of thousands, you're gonna
And
wanna
then
limit it,
any topic in either session.
yes.
And do we want to say that, because if it's just one person, you know, we're gonna let them
doesn't
speak,
matter.
right?
Yeah.
But if we know there's gonna be a lot of people speaking on something, that's when the chair should say, okay, you have 5 minutes, or that's when they would relay the rules.
Right, when you see every chair in the room
Right.
filled up.
Yes.
That's a good indication you
Okay.
gotta control the flow
All right,
of it.
so I can reword that stuff, right?
In 7.4, it includes repetitive in what won't be.
Yeah, but that chair can usually control that, it's not, it gets repetitive after a while.
Yeah.
Then you need to move on, something new, and then it'll slow it right down from there.
On this, for appointments, it says that appointments will be limited to 5 minutes. That doesn't make any sense.
No, that does not.
You can't do that. I think appointments ought to have just appointments.
Whatever they, yeah, okay, so we'll take out the time limit in that.
If they start dragging on.
Well, no, because appointments should be scheduled through you, so it still should be.
Speaker scheduled as an appointment by the select board
Yeah.
administrator, it says in period.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I know we're trying to make the editing as simple as possible, but the way this is gonna be written, the only way to make it longer than 3 minutes or 5 minutes is if it's extended by the consensus of the board. Shouldn't it be the other way around? That the chair, depending on circumstances, may determine that a time limit is
Yes.
required? As opposed to it automatically is unless we say different.
Yeah, so we may institute a timeline, a time frame, or time limit.
Yeah.
Right,
depending on
but otherwise,
circumstances, The chairman may
Yep.
determine a time limit for
Yep.
individual speakers.
okay. Oh, that's good.
That way it's not an automatic thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is what we're saying. So, okay,
Yes.
we're good. Okay.
That's for both of them. I think the first public, we just need to say public comment session, because we're not differentiating between the two like this was originally written. So during public comment session, blah, blah, blah. Appointments, blah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it says 2 times during the meeting that allows, and then you're just gonna put one section about.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yep, okay, yep, I'll work that, okay.
Okay.
Other than that, are we good with this?
Yeah, I didn't have
You're
an
okay?
answer. Yes, I am.
Peter? Ellen?
All right, I'll have the finalized to Susan, and then we can sign it. Mm-hmm. All right, that was easy.
All right. There are a bunch of things here in the orange folder that require signatures. The first one on our agenda is contract renewal for CAI mapping.
That's the company that updates our tax maps. They are budgeted, we knew what it was gonna be, it comes along every year, but we didn't have a current contract signed. So, it came up back in January, it just never made its way to you to make it formal. So if you find it, we'd like a signature on it.
Well, it should be in the orange folder. And it's not. At least not that I see.
So, do you have a document?
I'll go through it again.
So this is a renewal of the contract?
Application,
Yes.
application,
So,
It's the same amount.
application.
so has this gone through our process, where it's gone through the finance director, and we signed off on it?
I spoke with Paula in January about it, we both agreed, you know, this
here
is
it
the
is.
amount, this is the same amount, we should get a new contract signed. So she's aware of it.
Do we have, because there's a sheet that goes along with this.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't know what it was.
Oh, okay.
All right, I don't know, if you want me to take it and get another
So-
sheet, I'll get it.
In the contract review approval policy that I quoted earlier, there's a sheet that anytime we have a contract, it needs to go to the finance director, right? Because there's usually money associated, and there's a sheet that she signs off, or that person will sign off on to show that they have seen it, and then it comes to us. So we need to get better at doing that to make sure, particularly now, because we're might have a gap here for finance, we need to make sure that these costs are being captured for budget purposes.
Yeah, that was a verbal, sorry about that.
So
I'll run it through.
please route that approval sheet, because that was also an opportunity for people to make notes and concerns for contracts.
Right, so we're gonna keep this in the folder until we get that finished up, so that'll stay in here. All right. We have the letter that was redrafted to go to Phil.
As well.
Oh, okay. So here's the one for the signature.
Yeah. Should reflect the changes you made last time.
So this.
I like this one.
This one's okay?
Yeah, it was okay for me, for you to sign.
Lori?
Yes, I'm good.
Peter and Ellen, are you okay with this, for me to sign it?
The Phil letter?
That's what we're talking about. Peter's raising concerns that somehow this may put us in some sort of liability.
Everything on this letter was reflected on a public meeting.
Yep.
And it was all recorded.
Right.
So I don't understand the additional letter. In addition to.
Because I thought we decided to do that.
We did.
I
think that's why.
Okay.
If he's gonna sue, he's gonna sue anyway, so.
Right, and I think in fairness to Peter, that in this particular case, it also, and if we're going to sue because we did it, then it's a wrong issue. That, well, Peter publicly apologized, the board technically didn't, so I think that this way the board apologized.
This covers us as a whole, yeah. So are we okay for me signing this?
Yep.
Okay.
And again, as you say, it's in there anyway, if he's going to, and this way he gets the copies of the things. Did the board vote to release those minutes?
You need to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already gone to Phil, so it's a right to know.
The right to know things that Phil wanted released, we said in the letter that we will, but we didn't vote that.
Didn't vote to.
The non-public ones?
Yeah.
Didn't vote to,
Release them.
unseal them, and I can redact the portions that don't have anything to do with this, and just attach them to the regular minutes in the system. That's all I'm gonna do, if you agree.
Is there a motion to that?
It's hard to agree when we don't know what the
Well,
minutes look like.
yes, agreed.
I thought they were provided two meetings ago.
Yeah.
We did have one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I still have them.
So,
If you wanna wait and look at them, I
I don't wanna wait on this
No,
letter.
no, go ahead.
Okay, because he asked to have them unsealed, so that's why it's in the letter, so I was waiting for you to vote.
So make a motion to unseal the letters as requested by Mr. Coons at the previous meeting, with those items not pertinent to him being redacted by Susan.
Second.
Okay, motion by Ellen, second by Lori.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That's unanimous. Are there any other loose ends on that we haven't?
I think that's it.
Okay. We're tabling the board initiatives.
Not ready.
Let's see, we have
There's a couple more things in there.
there's a
letter to
couple
them.
more things. There's volunteer.
You have a facilities use somewhere in here?
Well, yeah, but some of this stuff is caught in.
Oh, I see.
In one section and the other, so I'm trying to separate them out to stick with
The volunteer planning letter.
Right,
Also a letter to Eagle Scout.
right.
Oh, the volunteer, thank you letter that came out the week.
So, there is a letter here that Susan has drafted, and I believe you used last year's letter as a template.
Calendars work real well, don't they?
Could we change it to April 26th?
What are we changing the date to? Oh, what?
Oh, because that was the last day of for the Volunteer Appreciation Week.
Yeah. Could we have the date?
Where does it, where is it?
You put today's date.
Oh, okay.
And then,
Maybe if you go out today, that's why I was doing it today, you're signing it today.
DPW garage, should be highway.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, yep. I'll change it, and I can.
So I can mark this up then.
Yeah, we missed volunteer week anyway, so.
My copy has a line through on it.
Yeah, I changed the date, but it was after I printed them, so I did that. So are you okay with the date of the event?
Friday, June 20th.
Yes, I'm good with that.
For the school.
It's usually before then.
That's what I thought, too. I just want to make sure it's not some fluke thing where we're doing a thing Dave's graduation or
I
something.
don't know, they had probably had a dozen snow days.
Oh, this is going to go out. We're going to sign it and all.
Yes.
Do you want me to go ahead and read it, though,
No.
here in public? No? Okay.
Same as what we did last year.
All right. So it's a letter of appreciation to board volunteers, committee volunteers.
Correct.
And it was to coincide with Volunteer Appreciation Week, which was last week.
And then the employees also are invited, it's for them as well, but I sent it out earlier to the volunteers because they had to notify their boards when they meet.
Okay.
And because of the volunteer week.
All right, now, going back to other items here in the orange folder, we have some applications for facilities use. There are several of them. Oh, let's see. First one is yoga classes on the plains.
We approved that last year, if I remember correctly.
There are two there, and one of them comes with a request to reduce the fee. And I would like you to kind of think about the fees for the yoga, because that's two different ones. I have a third request that she hasn't sent the application in for yet. I don't know how much you want to regulate those
Last year, we only charged one fee.
for one person.
That-
It was a year.
We
annual.
just charged, I want to say it was like $50 for the year.
It was 100, I think. Her letter is there, attached.
That would be this one. Okay, so this one that has the letter attached to it, this is Erica Sarchione of Iron Cactus. It's dated May 10th. It's forward dated. Anyway, requesting use of the plains on Mondays from 6 to 7 p.m. She has signatures on here from Joel Johnson, Tom Rowan, and Graham Pellerin. And the letter attached reads, Dear Board of Kingston officials, I hope this message finds you well. I'm reaching out on behalf of the Iron Cactus regarding the facilities use for hosting our outdoor yoga sessions on the plains. Currently, we're being charged $100, and we'd like to kindly request that the town consider reducing this fee to $50. We offer these classes at a very modest rate and in some cases free of charge as part of our mission to make wellness accessible. This community offering brings people together, supports physical and mental health, and adds to the vibrant atmosphere of our town at no cost to the town beyond use of the grounds. We believe lowering the fee would help to make these sessions sustainable for the long term while continuing to provide a valuable and uplifting resource to residents. Thank you for your time and consideration. We truly appreciate the town's support in helping us create space for connection, movement, and community wellness. Warmly, Erica Sarchione. And she has her email address and telephone number. And P.S. the Iron Cactus is currently planned to be on New Hampshire Chronicle on May 5th. Okay.
Oh,
All right. So.
She's a very talented young woman.
Yes. So there's a request to reduce the fee.
Peter, just,
Okay, but can I just, we'll take the motion first, and
I'll second the motion. Motion.
You made the motion. And
Motion to reduce
Peter,
it.
Reduce it to $50, yeah.
second by Ellie. Discussion.
There's another yoga. I just want them to be
Consistent.
consistent, and I don't know if this is the one I think she wanted to be.
Is it this one?
Yes, outdoor yoga. But this is only one date.
Right.
So do we not, I'm not sure what to do with them. These. The third
Yeah.
one, I think, wants a series.
I mean, the one for Iron Cactus is for, a weekly thing.
Right.
every Monday for an hour for the summer.
Yeah.
Right. And this other,
Summer, or does it go to the fall?
Probably through Labor Day or something.
I don't remember how, I mean, I think they just do it for.
it just says Mondays, 6 to 7
Yeah.
PM. It does not give a date range.
It was probably 2 or 3 months last year.
This other one,
Went into September.
Yeah.
this other one is called Project Soul Yoga. They're located in East Kingston. So it's an out-of-town entity requesting use of the town. Okay. And this one is specifically for Friday, June 20th, 2025, from 6 PM to 7 PM for outdoor yoga. And it does have signatures from Chief of Police, Road Agent, and Fire Chief.
We're gonna be busy at it. That's not from 6 to 7.
Yeah, early
So
in the day.
to work off with the barbecue, you can do a little yoga. All right. So there's that request as well.
Do we know what that current fee is for an out-of-state, out-of-town? It's probably ridiculously high.
Yeah, it's high, that's why I don't have the fee schedule with me, unfortunately, but you're kind of taking these on a case-by-case basis.
It's
These small events.
Yeah, because they're using the grass and there's no.
Well, for one night, for
I
1
know.
hour, I don't want to charge them anything.
Yeah.
And well, unless you want to go $10, because they're out of town, you're going to charge them something. I have no idea, but we don't even know what the fees are normally, so it's hard to say whether they got the form.
I feel like that needs to be revamped.
I just put it on my list.
Yeah. I think the wrestling kids, don't they use the planes regularly with their classes out there?
Oh, they do. They use it every
And
whatever.
Pop Warner
There-
does. I mean,
A lot of
of
people do that we don't charge.
Right, because they don't ask. As soon as they ask.
Exactly, they don't ask, they just do it. So, I mean, how much do we want to police? There's little kid, I mean, it's a great, that space beckons for people to go out there and enjoy themselves. And if it doesn't require a big police presence, and you got 50, even if it's 50 people doing yoga, I mean.
I agree with you. It's an hour. I think we need to pay attention to fees when you have a car show or something big, when we're gonna have to have restrooms, and you're gonna have cleanup, you're gonna have trash. I think we have to reinvent, I mean, this is. I mean, where do you draw the lines? When it's gonna fly a kite, are we gonna charge them?
Exactly.
I mean, it's an hour on the planes and.
And even the regularly scheduled
Case by
ones.
case.
I mean, do we need to charge a fee for that too? Because we're not charging for the little Pop Warner football practice, and that's every week.
And they probably do more damage in the field than the yoga kids.
Than people laying on a mat.
Exactly.
Just so you know, my opposition to the one being from out of town is the same reason why you guys just talked about it. The planes is for the people in town of Kingston to be able to utilize, and this means that at least for one event, people from East Kingston are gonna be utilizing it, which is gonna limit the town of Kingston's own use. That's okay, I mean, I understand where the board's coming from, but.
Well, they might have students from Kingston.
They may.
Well, the Plains is a big, I think we need to have them tell us what part of the Plains they're gonna use. Is this by the bandstand? Is it over down by Rick's? I think we need to know where on the Plains they're gonna use
Well,
it.
we just tell them where on the planes they're gonna use it.
Yeah, but we don't have it on the form, and that's where it should be.
Right, so, yeah, when we redo it, we'll do that, because by the bandstand would be, I'm just trying to see if this is online.
So for the Iron Cactus one, we need to sign it. I have signed my name on it. I'm creating a pile here that we will pass around to get signed, because some of this other stuff is staying in the folder.
And because that's an ongoing class, we're still gonna charge her the 50?
I think, well, the decision was 50, right?
Yeah.
But why would we charge for one and not the other, whether it's one class or ongoing? We need to be consistent, so we need to think about that, because I don't know why we would charge for an ongoing business owner in Kingston.
Born and raised, might add.
And allow a non-business resident, right, to do it for free. So that's a bad example.
So we could, well.
Is there a motion brewing?
Well, the motion.
I think right now we have to.
And I think we have to do the same thing as ask them where they're gonna be, that we should know where they're going to be, in case we have somebody else who.
Yes, other than that, other than finding out exactly where on the planes they're gonna be, and I think Erica does hers by the bandstand, because I recall being able to see that from my window, but I don't know about the other stuff.
Should we do a $25 fee? I mean, for an hour, $10. I know, I don't even want to do that, to be very honest with you.
I found it. I don't. Planes for Kingston nonprofit, this really has to be redone. $100. For non-Kingston nonprofit, $1,500.
And I think, right, and I think that's for large events.
We're not differentiating on this fee schedule.
Right.
I'm gonna make a motion that we waive that $50 fee for Iron Cactus. The reason why I am is we have a business owner in this town putting themselves forward to tell them what they want to do. They're doing a very short amount of time out on the plains to benefit the business, and they're from the town of Kingston. And we have other businesses in this town that use the planes that don't come to us, but that's okay. So until we get our heads wrapped around this whole thing and we have more of a standard procedure, I'm gonna make a recommendation, we waive that $50 fee.
I second
For
that.
Iron Cactus.
For Iron Cactus.
Correct, Iron Cactus, I'm sorry.
So that's a motion by Peter, second by Lori.
So as of right now, you want them to apply, you wanna know where they're gonna be, but we're not gonna charge a
Yep.
fee.
Yep.
Waive
Until
the
and unless
fee.
we revamp this.
Yes.
Correct.
And my opinion is they need to realize why it's going to zero, so they don't assume that that may be the case next year. It may be, but that while the town is revamping its fee schedule, we're not going to charge them this year.
And we definitely have to keep it as a case by case, because the bigger events that are gonna draw a lot of people,
for
maybe
sure.
with police or fire or bathrooms out there, we're gonna have to address those case by case.
Agreed, 100%.
This fee schedule came into being because of the Vintage Bazaar was coming, and they were gonna be huge, and make a lot of money, so.
Yeah, we have to look at impact to the planes. If it's literally 20 people out there, there's no impact. I'll work.
Signing file.
Got it.
Punish the property owner because we don't have our.
Right.
Did we vote?
I don't think so.
There's a motion now.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous. All. Yeah. All right, and how do you want to deal then with the East Kingston request?
A letter to them saying,
We need more information, right? We want to know where on the
need
planes.
to know, or even a phone call, Susan.
Or a phone call,
Make
whatever.
it real easy.
Yeah.
And say the fee will be waived this time because the select board is reviewing the fee schedule.
But we wanna know where she's gonna be.
But we need to know where there's gonna be. So there won't be a charge this time, but we do wanna know where.
Yep.
So make it real simple, quick call, and be done.
You know, at some point, we're gonna need to, about how many people you're talking.
I know.
20, 50, 400,
And the problem is they don't really know, but I don't think the fees
but
are
they-
ever
Yeah,
very
but they
big.
have an idea. It's like, it'll be like 20, 10, maybe, 10 to 20.
If they think 10, if they put 50, okay, at least we know it's not the whole place, It's not-
So I'm going to take your comment as a motion
Thank you.
regarding the East Kingston, the project
Yes.
Soul Yoga.
Okay.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lori. For all that was discussed, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous. So I can,
Coming, we can sign that one.
I can sign this
We
one.
don't have it in front of us yet, okay. Oof.
She emailed me, but she didn't fill out the form.
Oh, yoga's coming.
All right. So we only have the 2 yogas at the moment. Okay, next thing is an intent to excavate, and this is smallpox pond. That's not this. Intent to excavate. Okay, they're intending to excavate 15,000 cubic yards of sand. Came to us, was received on April 11th. It came with the appropriate fee. This is for Centerview Hollow LLC, and it was signed by Jonathan Morse, their treasurer. Looks as though there's a check attached.
That's their check to the state.
Check to the state. And there's an email from Evie Nathan, Chair of Conservation, regarding this. It says, whoops, okay. Not quite sure what that means.
I thought it was the other one.
Okay. Our only comment about this intent, besides the acreage, was that the landowner should consult the power company, as at least half or more of this intent lays in a power easement. It could cause access difficulties for Eversource. This is who they should contact, and it gives the contact information.
Yeah, really, I know, good for her, she's on top of it.
So,
Centerview Hollow, I think.
it's smallpox pond.
Centerview Hollow, it's
It's an LLC.
It's on Route 125, and it's.
Is that Mr. Park?
Yeah, no, it's in a butter, and on the planning board, we dealt with Mr. Parks.
Yes.
Because his excavation fell under the power lines as well.
Yes.
And as long as he didn't excavate so many feet from a structure, the poles.
Right.
He could go ahead and do that, but I'm sure they're gonna run into the same situation, because he did the exact same thing.
Yep.
That we dealt with.
The
They have a setback from the poles.
total permitted area is 5.63 acres. The excavation area is 4 acres. And, okay. So,
You want to approve it, but I will pass along that comment, or they don't need to go to planning or anything?
No, but forward them Evie's comment.
yes.
Yes.
All right. So is the board okay with going ahead and authorizing this with the understanding that it's going to go with the comments regarding the power? Lori?
Well, if we sign it and they don't,
I think we should wait to get.
I think we should wait until they contact them, because if we sign it, we're saying go ahead, and then there's no reason for them to go ahead and contact the utility.
There should be a letter in that file from the power company.
Exactly, right.
Okay, I'm putting it, leaving it in the file, unsigned.
Yes, they were property owner, they'll read.
Right.
All right, we still have a bunch of stuff in this orange folder.
Now,
There's
we only have 30 days on that thing?
That intent to excavate is down.
Smallpox pond, yeah.
Did you want to make a note? That's where you're looking at, make a note, I thought.
Yeah,
Oh, no, you're all set.
I'm all set.
Okay, sorry. I thought you-
No.
We can disapprove it if they don't do that. So, we're good.
That's not one of the reasons we can disapprove.
There's another application for facilities use. This is the Board of Tax and Land Appeals in Concord. Would like to use the...
Meeting room.
This room?
Same ones that were just here.
Last week, or are they coming again?
They're coming again in October, I think it is.
They liked it here.
They liked it.
On October 28. Do we know what day of the week that is?
Is that a Monday?
It's during the day, I think it's another Wednesday.
When is it, October 28th?
October 28.
They got, the case they had this time was continued, but I think they've got another
It's
one.
a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
So, at what time?
Oh,
It's during the day.
it's during the day, so it won't conflict with planning board.
Well, that's the fourth Tuesday of the month, I bet, so it wouldn't.
Oh, right.
Wouldn't appeal anyways.
Right. Between 9:30 and 4, it's an eminent domain proceeding, and they expect 10 to 15 people.
Okay.
all set to sign this one? Yes. That. We really should have Paula here. This is a request for, this is on the, I assume this is from the grant.
I got that from her. She needs your signature. It was corrected, but she had the old, she was waiting till you were approved as signer, which you have been. So
Okay, all right.
she's
So,
gonna have more, but,
okay.
I would like to.
All right, so this is a request for a reimbursement, and this is part of the grant that, that we got for the PFAS project. There's a formal request process to get money because they don't give you the money, you have to request it as you spend it. And so this one is for a total of $100,000, 982.15. And it covers, some administrative costs, some pre-construction costs. The largest chunk is for construction, which is for construction, meaning the installation of the systems. And then there's another small amount for admin. And there will be more requests coming, right, Susan?
Yes, that's everything to date except for one property that came in later. And we can be reimbursed for the cost of the fire station system, but
we still need to provide data,
we need to
don't we?
find the invoice for it.
And Paula's working on that.
So, I have a question. So, did we pay that $100,000 already and we're being reimbursed for?
I believe so.
Via the grant?
That's how that works, yeah. We have
Okay.
we have to show the paid invoice.
Okay, so okay.
Yep. Okay, is the board okay
Yes.
with me signing off on this?
If I may, Susan, we need to make sure you are really up to speed on where all that stands.
That's what I want to go and ask to
Yes.
find out. I want all those invoices or direction, because we have to get those in. We're nearing the end of our expenses, except for the annual maintenance, and we need to know the amount.
Okay, we have a couple of appointment forms. Charlotte Booton is requesting reappointment to the Heritage Commission for a term to expire on March 31, 2028. She has served on that commission and is requesting reappointment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you for helping us volunteer.
Yes. Motion by Peter, second by Lori.
Yeah.
Discussion, yes. We thank all of these individuals for requesting reappointment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? There being none, I'll sign it and start passing it around. There's that one. Next one is for Ernie Landry. Same, reappointment to Heritage Commission. Term to expire on March 31, 2028. And Ernie explained when he was here, but he had thought about getting off the commission completely.
I know.
But I think his main interest is making sure that he isn't the chair of that board, and that has happened. He is no longer chair. Bob Bean is chair, and this gives Ernie the opportunity to finish up some of the projects that he's been working on, like on the cemetery, Plain Cemetery project, and so forth. So I would ask for a motion on this one as well.
So moved.
Motion by Lori, second by Ellen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Do we
That's unanimous.
let people know when people resign from committees?
Well,
They're supposed to let us
we're supposed to get written notice of their resignation. Sorry. We don't need those. Okay. And the last one in this folder is a letter that Susan has drafted for the young man who was here for the Eagle Scout project at our last meeting. Does everyone have a copy of it in the packet?
No, we don't need a copy of that.
Okay.
We can read it when we sign it.
You can read it when you sign. Okay.
Okay, he needed to, remember, you
So
needed it from us
right.
in order to present to
Right.
the council.
Right. So if Mr. Boyd is watching, we will be getting this letter to you in the mail, and we're in the process. And we're in the process of signing it. Okay. And these still are in play. These are the letters. That's for our non-public. Okay. All right. And
I haven't signed any of those.
Yeah, there's three of them stacked up right there.
Oh.
The folders for Susan, everything.
Folder is for Susan. These are for signing.
You're all set with this purple folder?
The purple one's done. Yep.
That goes to Laurie.
And this goes to Lori. Is that the last one to come back?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah. The only other thing on the agenda, before we go into non-public, is approval of minutes for April 21, both public and non-public.
So moved.
Motion by Ellie to approve.
Do you have any, I don't, any.
Second by Ellen. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions?
Always on edge.
So that's unanimous.
I know. It's like, oh, God.
All right, I'm going to take a motion to go into non-public session, but before I do, just to let folks know, in case they're watching, that that will be the end of our public session. When we come out of non-public, we will not be having any more public meetings. So, motion to go into non-public per RSA 91A:3, Roman 2, and I believe it would be, help me out.
I don't know what we're.
Well, it's personnel.
So is it A or C or B or C?